And welcome back, everybody. I am Nathan J. This is the I Don't Mo Show, episode 17. It's going to be a little bit different of a show. We actually have our first guest ever. And to my right here is Jed. Say hello to everybody, Jed.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, look, audience applause. We're getting some applause.
Oh, please, calm down.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to do things a little bit different. Like I said, I'm Nathan J. This is Jed over here. He works at Jimmy John's. He's one of the big time in Jimmy John's. Not going to let you know where he works because he doesn't want you coming and bother him. No, I'm just kidding. But like I said, this is our first time having a guest ever. And we want to do a quick shout out to Charlie P. Charlie P is one of the inventors of the show, and he is on temporary leave. He will be back on the show eventually. He's just going to pretty much take the summer off. Nothing to worry about. He's fine health-wise, all that good stuff. So if you want to, send a shout out to Charlie, you can look him up on Facebook, on our website, whatever you'd like. But the first thing we're going to do is jump into movies. And there's a lot of huge things in movies, and that's why you're here, is it not?
Yes, that is why I'm here. San Diego Comic-Con just happened.
San Diego Comic-Con.
And
right? The big news is Marvel Phase 4. That's what we got going on, right?
What? There's a Phase 4?
There's a Phase 4?
What?
What's happening? Everyone thought after Avengers Endgame that was the end, right?
Endgame, like it says end, so it's the last stand. Wait, that's a different movie.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly. No, we did talk about that before the show started, though. We were like, yeah, wait a minute, we're not talking about like all Marvel movies ever? And it's just hard because the big part of the show, we're doing kind of a top 5. We're going to nerd out. This is our first guest. So we're going to have a little more fun. It's less serious, as you're obviously listening at the beginning of the show. It's a little bit off base, but it's going to be a little more fun. It's going to be a little more active, and we're throwing in some top 5s. But as I was telling you before the show, if we were to do a top 5 with all Marvel movies, half of the list would be terrible X-Men movies. Even though you came back and said that Origins is not that bad.
It is not as bad as everyone says. It's just the Deadpool part at the end. That's what kills everyone.
But and spoiler alert, Deadpool 2 fixed that, so,
Yeah, it did. So guess what? Not that bad of a movie.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair. I mean, that's one way to look about it, and that's a very positive way to look at it. I myself do enjoy that movie. I enjoy phases about it. The story and the characters are really good on it. Was there some bad CGI and claws and stuff? Yeah, that was pretty gross, but it happens, man.
Hugh Jackman.
He is the man. It's going to be weird seeing a different Wolverine. I can tell you that right now. It's just going to be odd. It's going to be taking getting used to.
Well, do you think they're actually going to change? They're going to bring in a male actor, or are they just going to keep Laura?
I do think they'll bring in a male actor, but I do also think that it'll be both. You know what I mean? I mean, I think they're going to start bringing out like all of the Weapon X program, characters, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so personally, I think they might just keep Laura because they know they're not going to be able to get someone better than Hugh Jackman, and like they haven't tried to replace Robert Downey Jr. yet. And
True.
That's been in talks for years at this point.
Right.
So they might just keep Laura because that's just going to bring in a new crowd with a female base, which is what they're looking for with like Captain Marvel, giving Wanda her own show, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow her own movie. So they might just keep Laura as a good female lead. So personally, they might just do that. Okay.
I mean, I could go with that. I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, and it doesn't have anything to do with, female, male, anything. Like I said, it's different. It's different to think about, after if anyone's ever seen Logan, and if you want to consider that in the realm of the universe, you know what I mean? Because isn't that movie technically like it's set in like an alternate reality? Like if this would have happened in Days of Future Past, that would have happened or something of that nature. That's why, again, I want to let everyone know, this is why Jed is on the show today, because he is one of the most knowledgeable MCU and Marvel guys I know. So all that stuff we've said in previous shows, Charlie and I, we got wrong and you read in the comments, this guy was the one posting in the comments letting us know of our faults. So if anyone knows, it's going to be you. So what about the Logan thing? I know a lot of people have asked me, so...
Okay. So the X-Men timeline is separated into 2 timelines. I don't know exactly where Logan is in that. So when Days of Future Past happened, I believe X-Men The Last Stand no longer happened, but Deadpool and Deadpool 2 happened in the new timeline. believe Logan is put into that timeline, but I
Okay.
don't know that for sure.
But is your best guess from what
But
you're
it is
understanding?
my best guess that it is in the current X-Men timeline. So
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
as far as, what we were talking about with, if Laura would come back or since obviously, they're not going to want to replace Hugh Jackman, do you think X-Men is important to Marvel Phase 4, which is one of the main topics we got going on the show?
Marvel Phase 4 probably not, just because they just got the X-Men and they can't start anything.
Right.
Like they announced Fantastic Four, which they just got as well.
Right.
I think they should introduce them near the end.
Okay.
Kind of like they did with Guardians of the Galaxy, but not really use them until Phase 5. Is probably their best bet.
I could be patient with that, considering this phase seems a little bit squished together, yeah, compared to previous phases.
It seems like we're
Getting a couple every year now.
We're getting smaller level heroes now.
Right. Just expanding out of the comic book universe.
Which we'll get into whenever we get into the top 5 stuff, which Disney's also wanting to launch their shows now.
Yes.
So they're giving smaller time stuff.
Because Disney Plus is going to be, the new
huge.
thing. So, yeah.
It's going to be huge.
Yes.
It's cheaper than Netflix.
I've already bought it and it's not even out yet, so.
Yeah, it's on my list already.
Yeah, so.
As soon as it comes out.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me on that one, to be honest with you. Which is just cool. And I know on previous episodes of the show we've talked about, Disney Plus and the price is right and everything. It just makes sense. We'll get into a little bit later, but I do think there's kind of a streaming service overload, but that's a different topic. But so on to continuing what we were talking about with X-Men. And I was asking you about, okay, should they in this phase? And you were like, yeah, maybe towards the end, bring in X-Men, kind of like you said with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you think that gives them time to find the right Wolverine type thing? Maybe it allows it to see how good these movies are. If you want to try to really shift the world of which X-Men characters you're going to bring in now, are you just going to bring in everybody from the old universe, and they're just going to be like, whoa, we're here because things happen. Spoiler alert in ENDGAME, that changes everything. So
yeah, I think the best option they would do is the new X-Men movie. I understand Dark Phoenix got panned. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it myself either. I know what happens. I got spoiled, unfortunately.
It got critically panned, and it was in theaters for a month max.
Right.
And that was in theaters that was like, oh, well, we got extra theaters, so why not?
Yeah.
But they have a lot of super great talent in there, because James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, those guys do terrific jobs in their roles, and so does Quicksilver. That Quicksilver is
oh yeah,
compared to the one in Age of Ultron, which Age of Ultron, I personally don't think that bad of a movie.
It's not that bad either. No, it's really not that bad. I do have it on my list, but
I don't know if it's the effects or just the actor himself, but he just does it so much better.
I feel the connection with the background of him being Magneto's son, and technically, and Scarlet Witch is technically daughter, all that good junk, which I want to get into that too a little bit now that we've brought it up. Yeah. But do you think that we will see more X-Men now? Because there's lots more that, especially in the TV show, the original animated from the 90s, which is what people want, which is why I think Dark Phoenix failed, because it was the last movie for that studio. You know what I mean? Everyone was kind of why do I even want to see this if it's not going to matter? And when it goes to Marvel, I do think they had a little bit. I don't think that was everything. I think it was a few people mailed it in, Jennifer Lawrence.
Well, what also didn't help was the actresses and actors before the movie were just I don't care about this movie. It got critically panned, and after Age of Apocalypse, where it got critically panned and people still went and saw it, people just got burned one too many times.
Right. I mean, it's hard too when the original X-Men and X2 are one of the best two, comic book action movies ever, and some of the best, X-Men movies. But I mean, the First Class was good in its own ways of things. Days of Future Past is really good. It had really good things about it. I mean, Apocalypse wasn't that good, but it introduced some cool characters that we hadn't seen or heard about in a long time. So I mean, all those movies have things about them that are good. But I mean, it is possible for Marvel and those guys to make bad movies, which we'll get into that when we talk about our top 5. But we were
Quote,
talking. We actually
unquote bad, by the way.
What's that?
Quote unquote bad. The decent is about the worst that you get with MCU.
I mean, that's true. I mean, there's never been one that I've been like, oh my God, this is, crap, or left, or, turned it off or anything.
There's been no 1994 Fantastic Four where they literally wouldn't release it.
Yeah, they
because
wouldn't
of
release
how
it.
bad it was.
Or the British version of Captain America from 1990, which nobody talks about. It had Red Skull in it. That was about the coolest part, to be honest with you. It still baffles my mind how you make a Captain America movie, but you're British. It was just weird. That's a weird movie. Look it up. You can find it on YouTube, actually. I'm pretty sure the whole movie's on there. Speaking of Fantastic Four, which you brought up, are you nervous or excited about Fantastic Four with this new Marvel Phase 4 news, which is one of the biggest news of the weekend so far?
I have been the biggest defender of Fantastic Four.
As have I.
Because they're Marvel's first family, and I've just been waiting for MCU to get them because their style just fits so much with what the Fantastic Four are as a group. They're Marvel's first family. Like, they're going to have... The banter between them is what actually happens. Like, the Avengers, it sometimes comes off as like, oh, you're acting a little bit too friendly with this person that you just met. But, like, they are a family. That's them. They know each other. They've been together for years before they even got their powers. So, like, it makes sense why they're making all this banter. Just depends who they get to do the acting. I know John Krasinski has been wanting to do the role. Has been wanting to do the role of Reed. If they get his wife, they have great chemistry, as we saw in The Quiet Place, and
which studios usually go away from that, but in that case, I think you make an exception.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel's smart. They made it this far.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know who they'll get to play the Human Torch, but like, they can get the guy who played the Thing in the original Fantastic Four movie.
Right. Did great.
He did a fantastic job. I mean, if they want to bring in Chris Evans again, I think it'd be funny.
I mean, the technology, you could just put him in there and just change his facial features. Which I wanted to bring up, Chris Evans, now that you brought that up, about the fact that we probably wouldn't have him as Captain America if it wasn't for those movies either. To be honest with you. I mean, could he have went into the audition and nailed it or whatever? Obviously, but they had something to base it off already. I mean, he nailed that character, in my opinion. The attitude, the spunk, the spark, his just like he is in the comics, really, when he does like the motocross stuff and dangerous stuff.
100%. Him, like, the first Fantastic Four movie is saved just from the chemistry between him and the guy who played the Thing.
Yeah, right.
I don't know his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was from The Wire or The Shield or whatnot. Yeah. And he's been in a lot of the LAPD Blue or stuff like that. Yeah, I know. Which a lot of people said he was like the worst part of that movie, and I don't understand that at all. I think, honestly, how they handled Dr. Doom was the worst part of that movie. But we talked about that earlier also before the show. Yeah. Which is just like, if you're going to do the Fantastic Four movies, you said it earlier, don't make it Dr. Doom. Do not make it Captain Obvious. I mean, seriously.
It's kind of the Batman and Joker thing. You don't want to start off with Joker because...
Yeah,
it's
right. You can't.
Like, oh, here's my best villain. Oh, and it's gone. What do we do for a sequel?
Right.
Crap.
This is why Batman Begins did so good, because at the end of the movie, you see the Joker card. You're like, yeah, he's going to be in the next movie. Yeah. Sweet. And that movie turns out to be incredible. So
Dr. Doom is the end boss. He's not the... Oh, we're just learning how to use our powers, and we can beat this super powerful guy. Oh, he's come back? Oh, well, we don't care. We just beat you.
Right.
Like,
well, and
that was the problem with the first two Fantastic Four movies.
Well, the problem with the second one, in my opinion, was that how they handled Silver Surfer and the fact that Galactus, I get that it's one of his forms or whatever, but that was just the fact that I didn't even know it was Galactus for like 5 years after I saw that movie just should tell you everything you need to know. Like, you know, nobody knew that was, you know, Galactus. He says it like one time in that movie, I think, or something. Like he's here or he's talking to him or something, and that's why it's like so unmemorable that part. But I love that movie. I like watching them back to back. I do, you know. I want to watch them, but
are you telling me that the guy who's a giant purple space monster that eats planets is not supposed to be a cloud? What? No.
With a horrible facial expression? Yeah,
that. You don't even see his face.
No,
he shoots. He gets shot. He gets shot by the power cosmic, and it's just like, well, he's gone. It's like, okay.
Well, you know, I'm just saying, that's the issues with the movie. Mr. Sarcastic. That's what I'm saying. It's just, it's hard. I get people's dislike of it. I understand. It's more of a, it's not in that tone and that same darkness that the current MCU has. It was completely different. You know, It's like they were going to go for that, and they were like, no way, we can't do Thor this way. We can't do Iron Man this way. I don't know. You could have done Iron Man that way, to be honest with you, based off like the comics and stuff. But yeah, I think they made the right decision. But if you wouldn't have had those movies, like I said, probably don't have him being Captain America. Probably don't have a lot of things.
I don't know completely about that, just because of how different the Human Torch is from Captain America. Like, I don't know what other stuff Chris Evans has been in, but like he nailed Captain America from the get-go.
Oh yeah,
I've seen
Steve Rogers.
I've seen top MCU lists have Captain America First Avenger on there. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's the best one. I don't even think it's the best Phase 1, but I will say he nailed his role. They nailed Phase 1 actors other than what's his face? Guy who played Rhodey in the first Iron Man movie.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard and Edward Norton, which I don't think he did a bad job, but I think Mark Ruffalo has.
Yeah, I don't think he did a bad job either. I just think I didn't like his, persona, attitude, or whatever. It didn't fit. I didn't believe it. It's just like I'm watching Ed Norton. That's not David or Bruce Banner. So that's why I had a hard time with it. And then I didn't even know it was part of the MCU, till after, because you had those crappy Hulk movies before.
The one crappy Hulk movie.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Well, I mean, there was the animated that wasn't very good. But
what you mean you didn't like the 2004 in Hulk?
Yeah,
that looked like the CGI was from a 1990 game almost.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one I'm talking about.
You didn't like that? But it had giant Hulk dogs.
I'm not a fan.
But giant Hulk dogs.
Yeah, Hulk dogs.
Hulk dogs,
yes.
though.
God, I forgot about that. You had to remind me of that one.
And then he just ends up pantsless. It's a great
like
great
I
time.
said, we're nerding out here, people. This is as nerdy as it gets. So this is fun. This is fun for us. So I hope you guys are enjoying it too. But yeah, speaking of Hulk dogs, let's not speak of Hulk dogs again. How about that?
Okay,
but
you have to admit, Hulk dogs are cool.
Yeah, I mean, the theory of Hulk dogs is sound. I'll give you that much. Okay. When it comes to Hulk, and for instance, I didn't like the whole. I don't know, how do you put it? Him being a wimp, in the last movies. You know what I mean? I understand, he was scared. Like Infinity War, because he gets a little beat down, from Thanos. I've talked to Charlie about this a couple times too. It's just,
it's a good storytelling tactic. That, hey, he lost in Ragnarok. He was acting like a 3 or 4-year-old or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Because my theory on it is because of how long he was the Hulk. I view him first becoming the Hulk as that's Hulk at age 0.
Okay.
And
Makes
then
sense.
he's 4.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever a 4-year-old loses, they don't want to go back out and fight.
Uh-huh.
They want to just stay away. They want to protect themselves.
Okay.
So it makes sense why he was trying to stay away from Thanos. Bruce Banner was in the Hulkbuster, and then whenever he lost, both sides had given up. So, like, they just had to come to a decision like, hey, what are we going to do about this?
Right, like what kind of person are we going to be?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is Professor Hulk, which is awesome. Which I, at first when I saw, like, when I'm watching Endgame and, you know, I'm seeing that character, it's like, oh, I kind of know where they're going to go with this. And I was worried that, like, man, I want to see Hulk smash, you know?
But then he dabs, and it's all good in the hood.
You know, it was oddly handled. But as far as, like, it's not even really a complaint either, but as far as, like, odd going-ons in Marvel movies and stuff, that's pretty much, like, the only one I can think of. Besides maybe, like, Ant-Man and stuff. You know, there's some odd things going on, but, you know, which that is also on my list.
I just need to bring up real quick the real hero of Endgame, the Rat Venger.
That's true.
Not for the rat, it would not have been saved.
Yes, that's true.
I need justice for the Rat Venger.
Good point.
Please put him on the Avengers.
Hashtag
Rat Venger.
Hashtag Rat Venger. Okay. All right. Well, since we're on to the hashtagging, why not? This is as good a time as any, because we are on a roll. We're talking about Marvel Phase 4 and pretty much all things that were announced at Comic-Con this weekend, San Diego Comic-Con for you nerds. They announced, we're just going to go over a few of them real quick. We got Blade was announced as part of Phase 5, which was confirmed by Kevin Feige, not Phase 4. So that's it's Phase 5 news, but it was announced at this Comic-Con. Lady Thor, that's a thing. So Jane Foster, they're doing that. Natalie Portman was there. She had the hammer, all the good stuff. So, hey, that's cool. We already had...
We'll see how they handle that.
Yeah, we'll see how they handle that. It's gonna be interesting considering she was, like, done after Dark World, you know.
I'm more talking about, dude, her comic book series, whenever Thor became a female, it was Jane Foster had cancer and stuff, and every time that she became Thor, all the chemo got wiped out.
Interesting.
So that was, like, the big story arc between all of the series was, like, hey, and, like, the very end is, like, if you become Thor again, you're going to die.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, fine, I'll just never become Jane again. And then she ends up doing stuff, whatever. She ends up giving the hammer back to Thor, who was unworthy at this time, because a crap load of stuff. So she gets the hammer to Thor, and then Thor goes and beats the villain. But Jane Foster died because of that, because she went back to being human, and it was pretty heartbreaking. And if they don't handle it like that, I don't know how well it will actually do.
Does Thor's mom die in the comics, or is that a movie thing?
I'm sure she dies at a certain point.
I mean, like, before or after that, what'd you think?
Before or after the Jane Foster thing?
Right.
Oh, it's before. I read some of the original Thor, and his mom isn't mentioned.
Okay.
So I think she might die pretty early on.
So, because I'm wondering if in the, like, with the continuation of the movies, I wonder if they would kill her, like, in the comics, because he's already, you know, lost his dad. As of right now, he's lost his brother, which we're going to get to that in a second. And then as of, you know, his mom being gone, would he, you know, have Jane Foster come back into his life? Oh, my God, it's amazing, Andy, you're worthy, and all this good stuff. And then would they kill her? You know, that's... to me, when it's like that, is like, what's the point of doing it if that's what you're going to do?
Personally, I don't think they should kill her in this movie.
Just kind of at least
set it up.
At least set it up a little bit.
Set it up.
Right.
To be the reason that she left him was because of the cancer or whatever. And then, like, she found the hammer because whatever reason, however you want to do that, that's up to Marvel. They know what they're doing. Again.
Right, of course, obviously. They have people like you working with them. They know.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm working with them. Yes, please pay me more, Marvel. You're totally paying me. But no, like, if they didn't do that cancer route, there's going to be a ton of angry people. I'm not saying kill her in this one, but I'm saying set it up to be like a conflict in the next one.
Right. Okay. I could go with that. I could see that, considering, where she's come from, how far since, the first Thor movie came out, and Dark World, and all the stuff that she's been through, and you kind of got the sense that she had something going on, And if you're a comic book person, you obviously kind of sort of saw this coming just a little bit. That this is probably the way they were going to go, which makes sense. And, but it makes sense now because, like I said before, everyone thought that Night of the Portable was just done, which she kind of was, for a minute, because she wasn't going to be a part of any of the Avengers stuff, really, or anything of that nature. But she gets mentioned a couple times, yeah. Like, where's Jane, or where's your whatever? And she's, doing her thing.
I think she might have just been filming another movie for Thor Ragnarok. I don't know that for sure.
Right, like just schedule conflict-wise.
Yeah, because like there's been a couple people that's just been like, "Oh, sorry, schedule conflict."
Right,
like,
which happens a lot.
This isn't Marvel, but it's DC. Like guy who plays Flash, because Flashpoint was supposed to come out this year.
Yes.
Last year at this point, or next year.
No, it's supposed to be
that?
this year.
It's supposed to be this year, but he's playing in Fantastic Beasts, which is another Warner Brothers property. So it's like Warner Brothers, you're competing with yourself.
You're competing with yourself.
But like he couldn't do it because of scheduling conflict with that.
Right.
So it's a thing that happens.
Right.
Since they kept mentioning Jane, I'm assuming that
they wanted you to know, like, she's still in it. Don't worry.
She's still there.
Right.
And I think that was actually new footage that she filmed for Endgame. I don't know that for sure.
Okay. Which would also kind of make sense too.
Yeah.
She. I did find it it was kind of the biggest surprise to me at this reveal that it was a thing. I was kind of thinking more like Beta Ray Bill would be announced as more of something, as own thing, or brought into it over Lady Thor. But, I mean, the women are kicking butt. We have to admit that. Like, as far as things are going over the last few years, especially in, comic book movies and things, getting recognition. We got Black Panther, I forget what her name is. Shuri, that's it. And then, Captain Marvel. And she was obviously kicking butt and came in. And I have different opinions about Captain Marvel, just name-wise and all that kind of stuff. But I like the actress that played her, and I just think that it's like the Superman thing. She's just OP. She's too OP, in my opinion. Like, I understand she was busy off doing things, which is a big part of what Phase 4 is now. We're going to get into a little bit more of the, what is the word for it? The galaxy effect or cosmic. We're going to get more cosmic stuff. We see in Eternals. Start naming them. What we got? You got Eternals.
Guardians 3.
Right, which is I can't wait for. We have New Mutants, which is obviously not part of that. But do you think Guardians 3 is going to explore what happened at the end credits of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with the Adam Warlock thing? Obviously they didn't do that for no reason, right?
Well, it was James Gunn's baby for that, so that's why he wasn't seen in Infinity War Endgame, because James Gunn's like, no, it's mine. He's mine.
And he's very big in the universe, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Like, he's the one who stops Thanos.
Right, and in the comics, he's the one that stops him. Yes.
I think they're going on a search for Gamora.
Okay.
And I'm sure they'll run into him, and that will be the main conflict, and either they'll find Gamora before the fight, find her after, do something with that. Thor's going to be Bro Thor still. It'll be great.
Right.
Finally have a hero.
Is she not in Endgame, or are you talking about the mind of her or whatever, or the actual her?
Okay, so somewhat spoiler for Endgame.
Spoiler.
She does come back from the year 2014.
Yes.
And most of the people are erased from 2014, but you see Peter Quill in the ship whenever Thor is joining them. He's looking for Gamora. You see him searching.
Right.
Which leads me to suspect that the one from 2014 didn't get sent back.
Okay.
She's still in the current time, and Star-Lord is looking for her.
Okay. right. Because obviously, part of the Endgame thing, you could just see like the disappointment. Because he's like, oh my God, this chick doesn't love me. This Gamora doesn't like me, doesn't even know me. What, and so that would make sense. I would like to see it go that way. I don't know very much when it comes to Adam Warlock. I just know that, like from guys like Comics Explained and things of that nature he's up there. So I'm curious, is he Captain Marvel powerful, or is he more powerful than Captain Marvel?
I believe he is considered more powerful. I believe he is high level cosmic. Captain Marvel is so the listing for it is there's cosmic level, there's the A-listers, which is like Thor and stuff. He's not quite cosmic.
Right.
He's got some cosmic tendencies, but not quite there.
Right.
And then there's street level, and then there's a couple in between. Like street level is like Spider-Man, which Spider-Man's gone cosmic, of course.
Yes.
Because freaking 60 years of comics.
Yes, obviously.
But like Daredevil, Captain America, they're considered more street level because they don't have powers, while people like Adam Warlock is considered cosmic level. Like, he's the keeper of the Soul Stone most of the time.
Right. Okay. Right. But and then they changed that, correct? Obviously, for...
obviously, because
he
wasn't in there.
Yeah, and Red Skull is the keeper of the Soul Stone.
Yes,
correct?
he was the protector of it.
Right.
But all of them are destroyed, so he can't be it.
Right. And that he's one of my favorite villains. Actually, he's one of my favorite parts of Captain America: The First Avenger. I love Hugo Weaving. He just did an amazing
job.
I also like the guy that does it now too, because it's the different actor. But
because Hugo's like, bro, too much makeup.
Too much.
I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm gone. He hated doing that. I mean, I understand. I get it. And he's done enough. Lord of the Rings, The Matrix. He knows what's going on. But when it comes to, like, all right, so we've got we got Phase 4, which they've kind of already started releasing what's gonna go into it with Phase 5. What do you think will be the basis of Phase 5? Like your early predictions.
Okay, so like I was saying, they're bringing in the X-Men, whatever.
Right. We got TV shows and
we got TV shows. We got
Loki.
All that.
Is Loki a TV show or a movie?
TV show.
Okay.
I think that Phase 4 is going. I don't know who the main villain is going to be. A lot of people were hoping for Secret Invasion. Captain Marvel obviously changed that. I think it might be Hulk. I'll get into that in a second.
Are we talking Hulk? Or are we talking it's bringing like red and purple Hulk type stuff?
No, the
Planet Hulk?
current Hulk that we have.
Okay,
I'll get in that in a second.
Okay.
But Phase 5, I think they might set up Avengers versus X-Men.
That would be very cool. Which they find kind of like a Civil War thing instead of being cool and then feuding.
Yeah,
now it's
and
like
actually
feuding and then becoming.
And actually having it, being the biggest movie in your freaking
ever
phase.
Ever.
Because
like you thought.
Guess what? Civil War should have been a whole phase. It should not have been one movie.
Yes.
I still like the movie. But it should have been a whole phase.
Right. It's not a good 3D, by the way. I've reviewed that too. I was very disappointed in that 3D.
Okay.
So, some of them are. But yes, please explain. I'm very curious. Are the listeners also?
So the Professor Hulk, eventually in the future, Hulk gets power hungry or get driven crazy, and he becomes this thing called the Mastro. And he is super smart, super strong, and like nobody can stop him. And he like has like a family of Hulks in certain timelines. It's this crazy thing, and he's super powerful. Like, he's very hard to beat.
Right.
So,
enough to be the villain? Like, the main one?
We've seen him be smart enough to be a villain. We've seen him smart enough to outsmart the smartest one now, which is Peter.
Right.
He's strong enough to take out the strongest, which is Thor. We've seen him fight. I think he could possibly be the big bad. They haven't really been hinting at it, but like it could happen. It's very possible.
What kind of reception do you think would that bring now? think it would be okay with people as long as they executed it well, or you think there'd just be too many people upset that you're turning him into a? I think it's a good idea. I could just hear people saying it's a cop out. Like, why can't you know how many villains are in the MCU? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we've also had a lot of arguably bad villains.
Yes.
And our best villains are the ones who we get the most backstory on. Guess what? We've had a lot of movies with the Hulk in it. That's a lot of backstory.
Seen a lot of different phases of him.
Guess who the best two villains in the MCU are? Thanos, we had a lot of backstory, and Loki, we've had a lot of backstory.
That makes sense. I can see that. Is there anything in particular that makes you go that direction?
I just think it's the smartest move.
Instead of taking a risk and just picking another villain out of the book.
It's not even. I think it's more of a risk going for this than actually picking a new villain. Right now, we have a severely underpowered teams because Thor isn't as powerful as he was. If you take out the Hulk, that's a big powerhouse.
It's true. Okay.
You still have Captain Marvel, but who knows what she's going to do at this point with all the backlash.
Like I said, she's OP. It's hard to bring her in because she could just wipe the floor with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But
if you get Smart Hulk who could take the Infinity Gauntlet and survive the snap.
Right. Which obviously changed everything and him a little bit too,
yes.
Correct? Right.
Which is also why I'm leaning more towards the Hulk.
Because he survived it,
the snap
correct?
Changed him. So I think that's probably your best bet because he's powerful enough that he can take on the most powerful one without us being freaking power scaling the problem with like the Flash TV show. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Flash is fast. Oh, cool. Oh, new speedster? They're faster than him? Oh, wow. Who saw this one coming? Oh, Flash is faster. Right. Oh, another new speedster. He's faster. Who saw this coming? It gets boring after a while. But now you're taking someone who we've already seen is powerful, who we've seen who can take the punishment and believably be a villain.
Right.
Like, they can just have it not be mind control unless they want to bring in the leader, which...
What part of him do you think would be more leaning towards becoming the villain? Hulk or Banner?
Probably... It's a mixture of both normally, but...
Because obviously, like you said, he was 4, like in Thor Ragnarok. He's obviously, like, teenage years, so more like maybe Hulk. Because he has, like, the attitude like Groot does type thing, but he goes evil.
I would be pissed if they did that. I'm emo Hulk.
Yeah.
No.
I agree.
I would think that it would be Hulk just... So, we saw him being super popular in this Endgame movie.
Yes.
Say people started turning their back on him because Tony died.
Right.
Spoilers.
If you haven't seen Endgame and we said spoilers, seriously.
We said spoilers.
If you're watching an episode of this show or listening or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, seriously.
Yeah, okay.
Don't worry. The audience has been well aware of how spoilers work around here. Don't worry about it.
So Tony died in that.
Yes.
Everybody's focused on that.
Yes.
We see that in spoilers, very minor spoilers for Spider-Man Far From Home.
Which I have not seen yet.
Yeah, I try not to spoil anything too big, but the whole movie is set up around, like, Tony's dead. That's what everybody's focused on. It's what Peter is focused on.
Obviously.
So, like, maybe people just stop caring about the Hulk.
Right. And again, Marvel, it's spoiled it for everybody. Honestly, it's already been spoiled. Like, if you've seen a trailer or anything, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
You know.
We're into it now. So, yeah.
So, like, he could just be, like, hurt because the Hulk is a creature of just emotion, so he just reacts. And with the mind of Banner maybe being trapped down a little bit, his good side, or even the best way they could do it is Banner trying to help everyone, Hulk just being mad at everyone. So his inner fighting, but then they reach a conclusion like, oh, wait, there's something bigger coming.
So more of I have to, like, they see each other's points. I have to do this kind of like the Batman effect. I'm the hero that they don't need, but the one they deserve.
Yes.
Type things, thinking he's doing good, which is kind of what Thanos did. Thanos thought he was doing the right thing.
Yes.
So
like have the Hulk do that. It's going to
which Charlie P agrees with Thanos.
Yeah. It's going to land such a much more emotional punch than the Thanos one. Because whether you agree with Thanos or not,
right?
You're supporting genocide, by the way, Charlie.
Yes. Yes, he is.
Whether you support Thanos or not, like you've been with Hulk this whole time, and Hulk is the most popular that he's been in since the '70s show.
True.
So like, people are going to be either torn or just hurt, like, and then like you're going to see the people like holding back, and it makes sense why they're holding back because they're like, wait, I don't want to hurt the Hulk, but
right. It's very intriguing. It does kind of make anyone kind of wonder where are they going to go with this? You know,
exactly.
So it's a really good idea, to be honest with you. I kind of like that. Like I said, over them just picking, who's the most popular or whatever, who's the coolest, who haven't we talked about yet?
Either do that or bring in Kang the Conqueror.
Well, I mean, I'd be down with that.
Time travel, bro.
I would also like to see what's his name?
MODOK.
That's it. Thank
Bill
you.
Murray.
You knew exactly what I was talking about.
Bill Murray as MODOK.
Please.
Bill Murray's giant head.
You knew you were reading my mind. I was like, the guy that floats around, dude. He would be perfect for that. So yeah, unless you are doing that, to me, you got to stop picking, especially people that don't know comics or never saw any of the cartoons. They don't know who these people are. I think that was a big problem with Thor: The Dark World. Like, you were just throwing in people left and right.
What, you don't know Malekith?
Come on, man.
You can barely pronounce his name.
And then it's like everyone's like, ears, and they thought they was like somebody else, and they were hoping it was going to be something else, and it wasn't. It had nothing to do with like the scrolls or anything like that. And it was, I don't know. That movie, I did watch the movie again, and to its justice, there are really cool things in that movie. But it is on my list, and we're about to get into that. You were talking about the Hulk thing, and I'm very interested in, which is definitely a reason I wanted you on the show today. Again, thank you for being on the show. Two questions. I'll be quick before we move to our top 5.
Yeah.
Will Planet Hulk be a thing now or ever?
It was already a thing. Ragnarok was about the best that we could get.
Okay. Which I kind of figured.
Which Kevin Feige, I believe, said that we were getting the 3-part Hulk saga, which was Ragnarok, Infinity War, Endgame. So the Hulk is still around, so we don't know what's going to happen. Another reason why I think he might be the villain.
Okay. Definitely makes more sense on the villain thing. And again, I really, really like that idea now that I've heard about it. And the other question I had about is, and I think I've mentioned this before, because of what happened in Endgame, do we ever see Tony Stark again?
Tony Stark?
Because, there's the theories and the rumors that, Captain America saved him from the cave. He could have been hanging out somewhere else and blah, 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 blah. There's too much. A reason why we're getting in my top 5 about Endgame. Yeah. But there's too much going on. But could you see it? I personally don't, because of Robert Downey Jr., not Iron Man. Tony Stark. It's more Robert Downey Jr. in my mind.
Since they introduced time travel, anything is possible. But Robert Downey Jr. said that he's done.
Right. And I believe him this time. I really do.
I think that he is done. Do I think we'll see a young Captain America as Chris Evans again? Yes, because they left that way too easy to go get him.
I agree. I completely agree.
Which I think is what Chris Evans kind of wanted, because Chris Evans been like the most to complain about the role.
Yes.
He'll say that he loves it, but he also doesn't like the diet, which I completely understand, because that freaking sucks.
They're like, no body fat, bro. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, Thor, you can be fat this time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, of course it's the guy who's freaking ripped for
Of course
days.
it's the Brit.
Australian?
Right, correct. Australian,
Yeah, but I think we'll get Captain America again, just because that he's too easy.
Well, with the TV shows too, right? Like those
Yeah.
are a couple of them are prequels, like shows, correct? Like Scarlet or Black Widow is prequel show, right?
No, that's a movie.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So it's the first I'm hearing of that.
It is taking place in the 90s.
Okay.
Taskmaster has been confirmed as the villain.
Okay. Are we gonna get to see Budapest?
I personally think the last scene of the movie is going to be like, okay, time to go to Budapest.
Right.
Go to credits.
We got to credits. Okay.
I
right. You got a
guarantee
mission
it.
to Budapest. Right. yeah.
Calling it right now.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. I did not know that. I thought it was a thing, but like about that, yeah. Like with the TV shows and Disney Plus, I could see him popping up. You know.
Yeah, I can see him popping up. I don't think Tony Stark is going to be back.
I don't either personally.
Other than maybe for a quick cameo.
And maybe if you would ask me or I'd ask myself this question like a week after the movie, my answer might be different because I was still in mourning. So I was pretty upset. But now that I've went over everything and I literally watched every movie except for Ant-Man and the Wasp. I still haven't watched that, and Captain Marvel. But I've researched enough of it to figure out kind of.
Yeah.
But
the Marvel movies are rough because they take 2 years to film. And
Yes.
Robert Downey Jr. has been in at least one of these movies a year since 2008, other than in 2014 and 2011, I think.
which
was the year Captain America came out in
Yes.
Phase 1, and the year that Captain America Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy came out.
right.
Those were the only 2 years that he was on a movie, because 2008, obviously, Iron Man.
Right.
2009 was, he made a cameo in Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
Iron Man 2 came out in 2010. 2012 was Avengers. 2013, Iron Man 3. 2015, Age of Ultron. 16 was Civil War. 17 was Spider-Man. 18 was Infinity War. And 19 is Endgame.
Okay.
So for 11 years, other than 2 of those years, so 9 years, out on to 2 more years to that because they take 2 years to film. So we'll say about 11 years, back to 11 years, that he's given to these roles. I understand him wanting out.
He's got to have like what, like $500 million
See,
at least just from those
but
movies.
like he wants to do different projects, which
And I understand.
Which
I get it.
completely understand. Like Captain America isn't appearing in everything because, say what you will between Captain America, Tony Stark, whatever. Iron Man sells so much more than Captain America.
I've always been Team Iron Man. Always
Right.
have been. I love Captain America. Don't get me wrong.
Personally, I'm Team Captain America most of the time, but like
Because of the team.
it's like Civil War, Captain America,
Right.
All day, every day. But it's Robert Downey Jr. He started it and
He technically finished it.
he finished it.
But, which I'm glad they're still doing phases because I had a weird feeling like, okay, I know there's another phase coming, but now there's going to be another phase where we know phase 5 is coming. And speaking of phase 5, before we get on our top 5, Blade is in it. I was completely surprised about that. The actor they got for him, I really love. He's a great guy. He was in Predators. He did a really good job in that movie. I'm excited that Blade is officially part of the universe. My only, it kind of was mind-blowing when I heard about Blade because obviously it's going to the comic. It won't be like the Wesley Snipes movies, which were just their own thing, violent, crazy, more adult-oriented. Blade is an adult-oriented character, but if you're going to put him in the MCU, that means the existence of vampires exists in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. To me, that changes a bunch. That changes lots of things. So, do you think Blade will just kind of be like a Daredevil and stuff for the TV shows, part of the universe? Like, yes, they know everything that's going on. It won't really affect the movies, or do you think it'll be a bigger part? And then the second part of that question is, what do you think is going to be the big thing of Phase 5? Because it seems like Phase 4 has like a theme of they're bringing in things people have always wanted.
And the Eternals.
Yeah, in Eternals. I mean, that's a very, very big thing. So, what do you think Phase 5's thing will be? Just real quick.
So, first off, I really like how we were supposed to get a Blade 4, and now we're just getting a new Blade.
Yeah, well, now we're just getting a new Blade.
Or maybe we're still supposed to get Blade 4.
Maybe.
I
Don't know.
heard that news a while ago.
Me too.
Haven't heard anything from it since.
All I can say is Wesley Snipes is probably not happy regardless, because I know he wanted to be in the MCU. So and they told him no.
Well, yep. We'll see we'll see what happens with that.
Right.
Maybe MCU will be like, yeah, screw it. We don't care anymore.
Well, because Deadpool's not a part of the MCU, correct? But it's still made by Marvel and Disney Studios.
So Disney owns Fox now.
Right.
But they're keeping Fox alive as a company to handle their more adult-oriented stuff.
Right. Which
makes
sense.
I believe Deadpool's going to be part of the MCU. He's too popular not to.
Considering they made it obvious that he was part of the X-Men universe.
Yes.
So, you know.
Like, if they really wanted to, it's not Deadpool 3, but Deadpool 4, they did Deadpool Kills the MCU, even just as like a
joke.
Not as a joke, but as like an alternate universe
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like, people would lose their mind. Even if it's an R-rated thing, I guarantee that would probably beat out Deadpool as the highest grossing movie, other than as he makes the joke in the movie,
right?
Jesus.
Yes, correct.
But back to Phase 5.
Yes.
They're going to more down to earth. I say this as they doing the Eternals. They're going to more down to earth characters for this phase, because they're doing Black Widow, they're doing Shang-Chi, and the something of the Ten Rings, which I'm hoping is Mandarin,
the actual Mandarin, because they said he's really a thing. Finally,
and all hail the king.
Yes.
So hoping
I knew it.
Hoping that we get Mandarin. But so maybe they're going more mystical for season 5, or not season 5, phase 5. What is it? Seasons.
I was going to say, because another part of the phase 4 was Doctor Strange 2, which it's on my anticipated list. And that's supposed to be a scary movie, because there's going to be some cosmic craziness going on in that film. So
people are just going to use it for a drug trip again.
I mean, the first one is in my top 5, so again, we'll get into that.
Oh, it's a great movie.
But so you think this? I agree. It kind of seems more the down to earth. So you think Phase 5 will? First, do you think Phase 5 is it, or do you think it's leading to the end of the phases?
I don't think
they're never going to stop making movies. But as far as phases go,
this is the thing. DC has run to a block because they have because they have the universe. They've run into a block because there's only a core group who likes it, and now they're changing that. Yes. So now the group who liked it doesn't like it anymore, and the people who didn't like it before aren't going to watch it because they're like, I didn't like these other ones.
Well, they're doing their 2 universes, DC is, so they don't know.
So now DC is just going, they're making movies to make movies, and they're going to take what's good, take what's bad.
Which is what they should. You can't compete with Marvel. You can't compete with them. It's not possible.
Marvel
shouldn't try to.
Marvel has had too much of a head start at this point.
Right.
But Marvel...
DC ruled the 90s,
This is the...
I mean, as far as, Batman 89, and then, you got all the Batman, and then, you know what I mean?
Batman and Robin. But this is the thing that people... I have friends who are like, I think MCU's done after Endgame. Then Phase 4 has been announced. They it's going to be end after this or end after Phase 5. I don't think they will until it stops making money, because Spider-Man Far From Home has almost made $1 billion, and it's going into its 3rd week.
Right. I can't wait to see that damn movie. So
Captain Marvel has made the biggest not critically bombed, but harsh fan response to a Marvel movie made $1 billion. So their method works. Even the smaller characters, like Captain Marvel isn't a well-known character. Black Panther's not a well-known character.
Right.
But they freaking made bank at the box office. And then you do these big team-up movies with all these people who went and watched the movie and was like, oh man, I really like that character. I wonder what's going to happen next.
Right.
And then they get the highest grossing movie of all time. Did they lead up 11 years to it? Yeah, but...
Did it right.
They did it right.
It's called not rushing, It didn't rush.
That's the thing, is that it just works so well, and until it stops working, I don't think they would be dumb not to do phases.
Everyone's on the same page too at Marvel, and over at DC, Warner Brothers, none of those guys are on the same page.
Just because they switch the head person of DCEU like 3 times.
Yeah. And that has nothing to do with that at all. No, of course not. No, of course not. Which, hey, DC, that's another. Well, hey, maybe when we have it back on the show, we'll nerd back on the DC, because there's tons of talk about that when it comes to it. But I can go with that. As far as Phase 5 goes, I think it'll be left up more in the air. I would assume more. They'll see how Phase 4 goes, how the response is, and then maybe like bring all the phases together for Phase 5. Kind of what was the best from this, what was the best from that, who's still around, who still wants to do it, are people still loving it, things of that nature.
Like Chris Hemsworth said, as long as he gets to still play this funnier Thor,
right,
that he's down to play him for until he either can't physically do it anymore, or like he himself just is like, yeah, I'm done.
Right.
So like he's already appearing in 2 movies in this next phase.
Right.
Because he just looks like he loves it, and he's saying that he loves it, which is fantastic.
He envelops that character. He makes you believe that
so
Asgard exists. All that kind of stuff.
So
man.
good.
He does amazing.
So, like, he was one of the core 3 that probably the most underrated core 3 going into Phase 1, Phase 2. Then after Ragnarok came out, like people knew that he was good as Thor. He was good in Avengers. He was good in the first Thor.
Right.
Thor: Dark World, like we said, the movie was rough, but he was still good.
He was still good in it.
Age of Ultron, he was good, but like you didn't really feel like.
Okay, let's just put it. He could have done way more.
He could have done way more. After seeing what he did in Ragnarok,
right?
It's like, oh my god.
He could have technically stopped that town from dropping if he wanted to.
What?
If he wanted to.
He hadn't discovered his powers yet.
He's
the
not that much power.
He thought he was the god of hammers at that time.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Well, speaking of Thor, it's on my anticipated, and we are jumping right into our top 5s.
This was the hour in. Let's go.
That's right.
Oh, wait, don't time this.
That's how we do things. No, when you enjoy yourself and you got good talk and good material, you roll. The time does not exist here.
Of course.
The time is only the basis for, hey man, this is an idea. We usually like to go 45 minutes to an hour. But we did a little bit of research, and it turns out that the amount of time on each episode has nothing to do with the amount of views. It's usually the material. So this is pretty good material, if you ask me. And this is going to be for people that honestly don't know. Now they get to know. Now they're going to be a little bit more interested. I'm more interested. Heck, I want to watch Marvel's movie right now. It's just like that's how much I'm into it, and I'm excited, for all the stuff that's coming out. So, but if you guys don't know, if you want to know way more when it comes to everything Phase 4, check out YouTube. There's pretty much everything about San Diego Comic-Con. What's happening. Check out Emergency Awesome. They've got a lot of updates on what's happening at Comic-Con.
Also, if you're wanting someone who's just wanting predictions for Phase 4, Comics Explained.
He's the man.
He is so good,
and he's dedicated. He's like, that's a thing.
Yeah,
he just does
like he will do the research. You will know, like, knowledge bomb. Like you'll be like, wait, what? I didn't want to know this, but now I do.
Now I do. Yeah, now I want to know this person now.
Like, I've learned stuff from him that I was like, who's Mad Jim Jaspers? He's a character that's super powerful, and it's crazy, and he's like Rob's favorite character. Rob is the person who's Comics Explained.
Yes, he's Comics Explained.
So I would definitely check him out if you're wanting just like crazy, like you can just hear the excitement in his voice.
Yeah,
not
just theories. This is like, facts.
Like he's like giving you facts, and then he's like, okay, this is what I think is going to happen.
Right, and he's usually right.
And you hear the excitement in his voice. It's just like, dude, like I want to see this now.
Right, exactly.
I'm ready.
Which would why my excitement would be, cranked up to 11,000 if there was X-Men versus, Avengers. So.
Oh, so much.
And that game too, man. I mean, this new game's going to be great, but that game would be. So we are gonna finish up the show here. We had a few other things to talk about, but we're doing our top 5 because that's what was the plan. This Phase 4 nerding out first guest ever, and so I wanted to say a few things as far as movie news that we had in the last couple weeks. Rip Torn passed away. R.I.P. Rip Torn. If you guys don't know who that is, Dodgeball, Men in Black. He was dead in Men in Black. look him up. He's amazing. I guarantee you've seen that movie with him before. Top Gun Maverick was also released at Comic-Con. Tom Cruise graced the stage and dropped the trailer for the sequel to the 1986, the year I was born, movie Top Gun. And it's called Top Gun Maverick. And I was extremely impressed by this trailer. It looks to me like it could be one of the best sequels to an 80s movie ever. Obviously, there's lots and lots of movie news, and we're not going to be able to cover it all because we do not have all day and all night. The new Joker movie, I did want to ask you before we get into our top, they did announce that it has nothing to do with, the comics. This new Joker movie, it's not part of the comics. It's its own thing.
It's not part of the DC.
Like DC, yeah, like Batman's not going to be in it. None of that. But it could, depending on how it does. They could start fresh if it does well, which is what I think they're doing. I don't like that idea that much, but if it's a good movie, okay.
It's either going to be the best DC movie ever, it's going to be the worst one, because it's just going to be...
It's the worst trailer I've ever seen for a DC movie, and I've seen a lot.
That's a good thing, because
usually
all
when they're
DC
good,
trailers have been good, and the movies have been
crap.
I don't care if you liked Batman vs. Superman, it was
in
bad.
3D, that is the greatest 3D movie of all time. I will prove you that one day. I don't know what they did, but they made that movie... I was just focused on the 3D. I didn't even care about what's going on. Like Batman vs. Superman 3D, I'm in. Like actually fighting the verses. But
them actually fighting for 10 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. Extended edition, man. It's a good time.
Oh, sorry, 15 minutes?
Expendables 4, that could be a thing. There's a little note. The new RoboCop, we're getting another reboot. They're going to have him actually have the suit from the original movie.
Reboots.
So, lots of those. And Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, the reboot, which is not a reboot. That's just called the reboot. It looks kind of funny. It looks kind of weird at the same time because the first one was so good. But there's some movie news.
Though.
Kevin Smith's the man. He really is, and thank God he's not dead after that heart attack. I'm glad he's he's doing much better and taking care of himself now, because he was a big man. He was getting a little big there for a minute, and he got a reality check. But that's pretty much it for movie news and your Marvel Phase 4 San Diego Comic-Con news. Like I said, if you want to know more about what's going on and so many other things dropped at Comic-Con, check it out. So now we're going to wrap up the show with our top 5. So when I speak of top 5, I know I've probably said top 5 again, top 5, 10,000 times in this episode. I have top 10. I have top 5. I'm going to edit that out and this whole part right here.
No, I'm going to mention it later.
I have the top 5 MCU movies. I have my top 5 anticipated movies coming out, which were released in Phase 4, and my top 5 you let down, disappointment, the worst, because obviously if there's a list of best, you have to have the worst, even if they're not that bad, and there are some on my bad list that are not bad movies. They were either disappointing or I just had to put them on the list just for a little controversy also, and we will get into that. So I will start with some positive. So my top 5 MCU movies. So I want you to hit me. We'll kind of do a back and forth. What's your one? I'll do my one, and then we'll go down the line, and we will end the show with some local news. So what would be your one, and then I'll do my one. What you got?
Okay, my first one is Iron Man.
Iron Man, good call. Why Iron Man?
It started everything. Robert Downey Jr. plays his role to perfection.
Mm-hmm.
It's very well paced for an origin movie, because that's so hard to do.
It is. Like, it had every element in that movie.
Yeah, the original Spider-Man movie by Sam Raimi, it was a great movie, but I feel like the pacing was off a little bit.
Agreed. When you go back and look at it.
Going back and
look
at it.
It was the times also.
It was the time. But, it's just so well put together. The villain wasn't a bad one compared to,
it was done the right way.
Other Iron Man villains that we got were kind of crappy. Whiplash wasn't good.
Yes.
Justin Hammer wasn't a threat.
Hammer.
And the Mandarin was kind of a letdown.
Which obviously now he's not, but that portrayal of that bad guy was...
Ben Kingsley did such a great job, but then they're like, no. It's like, what? No.
Well, why?
Why though?
It's because you wanted to turn goodness, Pepper Potts into, rescue and all this, and now she's not even rescue. She's just Iron Woman.
Is.
Come on, But all right, cool. For mine, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. I can't get enough of that movie. The soundtrack, obviously, that's
Copyright claim.
I can't. I can't stop loving that movie. There's just every single thing about that movie, and the fact that also in that I dissed it when I heard about it because I knew the comic book, and when I heard Guardians of the Galaxy come out, the first thing I said was the freaking story with the effing tree. Like, there's a tree guy. You're gonna make that into a movie.
Hold on. But think of the genius of that move,
right?
Man, they're like, hey, who do you guys love? Oh, you like Fast and Furious? Let's give you Vin Diesel. But he is just going to say one line.
Yeah.
I am Groot.
I am Groot. The whole movie in different tones.
Movie.
And he's going to
record
record
it. And then
it
you're
like
never going to know it's him unless, you look at the credits.
Yes.
But what a genius move by them.
Yes. And I ate my words because it's my favorite. I even listened to a small review. Al Pacino.
We're doing our first one.
What's that? We're doing first, second type thing.
Whoops.
Al Pacino said it was amazing. So, and it was the best. He said it was the best film I've ever seen in the theater. I was like, oh wow, Al Pacino said that. I'm gonna check it out. And obviously, I loved it, and it's just been my favorite ever since. So that would be. So you got Iron Man, the first one, 2008.
I didn't realize we were going 1-1. I started at 5, so I'm just going to keep going down.
Hey, we'll do a reverse then. Yeah, no problem with that. So I'll start it with my 1. You started with your 5. All right. So what you got?
Okay, Spider-Man: Far From Home
is your number 4.
Is my number 4. I don't want to get too much into it because spoilers, of course.
Right.
You haven't watched it, but it is probably my favorite solo. It is my favorite solo MCU superhero movie. It's just so good. It feels so much like the 60s Spider-Man without making it feel old because it's a newer thing.
Right.
The mid-credit scene is the best mid-credit scene ever.
That's good.
J.K. Simmons, the guy who played J. Jonah Jameson in the Sam Raimi trilogy.
Yes.
He's in it for a second.
Oh, cool.
It's so nuts. Mysterio is...
awesome.
It's great.
Yeah, I know. I love him. I'm so glad he's back.
Yeah.
And he appeared in what? What issue first? We had this conversation.
Amazing Spider-Man issue 13.
There you go.
Circa 1964, I think.
Yeah, awesome. He was just one of my favorites on the original animated show. I loved him. So that's your number 4. That's pretty sweet. I can't wait to see that. I'm sure it'll be on the list of my favorites, just from what I've seen, especially what from you've seen, what Trent said. Lots of people have said. So I could definitely see, after watching that movie, put it on there if it's as good as everyone is saying. So hey, trust me, it's a garage. It's dusty in here, man. And this weather's hot and allergies and stuff. That's all good. Cough away.
I'm just dying.
So you went from 5 to 4. I'm gonna go. I started with my number 1. And then my number 2 is Iron Man. So that would have been your number 5. I have Iron Man as my number 2. And I have it basically for the same reasons you do, but it's the feel after watching the movie of how good it was, and to know that finally, the future is bright for movies. We're gonna get Iron Man, and I was like, oh man, maybe they'll do, this stuff, and Thor, and maybe they'll do.
And then there's a post-credit scene that nobody was expecting.
Right. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Actually, for a while there, even though I had it, and everybody was like, oh, there's a post-credit scene, I was like, no, there isn't, because I watched towards because you know how they split up the post-credit scenes. Well, I figured it'd be the mid-credit, so there was one time I just left it on for a while, and then it showed the thing. I was like, wait, what?
What? That was a thing?
And that was years after I'd watched it, because I went and watched it in theaters.
Right.
I didn't know what it was. This was right when I was getting into comic books. I didn't know who Iron Man was, because he's Iron Man, and no one knew who he was before 2008.
Yeah, I mean, you knew the song.
Other than Civil War, and that wasn't even about him.
Right.
Other than 2006's Civil War, Iron Man was a A- character.
Right. You're
Like-
talking about the animated, correct?
What?
They had an animated movie, MCU,
No.
Iron Man before. Didn't they have an animated movie though before 2008?
I'm sure they did.
Right. But like it had nothing to do with, obviously the universe or anything of that nature. But like you said, nobody really knew.
Nobody cared about Iron Man before 2008.
Right, that's true. But yeah, it's just I knew good things were coming, and it's just every time I watch it, it's like I'm watching it for the first time. It just has that feel for me. So you're on to your 3, which will be my next also. So your number 3.
Number 3, I'm going with Avengers.
Ooh, okay, nice.
It's them all coming together. I feel like they nailed Phase 1 just so perfectly with who they got to play everyone. I feel like they've nailed most, if not all, of their casting choices, other than, like we said, Terrence Howard. We said that earlier.
Right.
But, like, they've nailed all their people, like Mark Ruffalo, great as the
Don
Hulk.
Cheadle's amazing.
Don Cheadle, he wasn't in this, but...
Right.
He was good. Robert Downey Jr., hiding snacks on the set, and then them just being like, screw it, we can't find him, just film it anyway.
Right.
Captain America being like, there's only one God, ma'am, and I don't think he dresses like that. Such a great line.
Right.
Samuel Jackson just RPGing his own plane to make sure that there's no nuke, and then another plane just takes off. Then
and he tries to whip out his pistol. Like, I'll shoot it down. No,
like, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And then Hulk just being like, that's my secret, Cap.
I'm
always angry.
Which is amazing. One of the best season
best line ever. Puny God.
Right. I actually, when I wanted to put Avengers on my list of my top 5. And it's like, to me, it's so good. Like, it's
just a feel-good time.
It's just like the overall thing. Like it doesn't even need mentioning. It's just like it's on its own plateau. It's not even first or second or third. It's like platinum. Yeah. Just above all those things. So that's kind of where I went on that. But I'm a little different with movies because if I had to choose,
we'll see in your disappointment how you're different with movies.
Oh yeah, understandable. But as far as my nerdery goes, if I had to have a loyalty to universes, I would have to choose DC. Do I think that DC would lose? Yeah, I do. But if it was like actual, we're talking like theoretical, hypothetical, if it was MCU versus the DC universe, I think if you leave the time travel crap out and it was just people mano y mano, I think MCU would crush DC people. Fight one-on-ones.
Just because Captain Marvel came in and can fight Superman now.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Superman can go screw himself.
Yeah, I've never been a Superman fan. He's a whiny big baby, and he's always needs Batman to save him.
Oh man, I snapped this guy's neck.
No. I have too many negative things to say about Superman. It's just he never uses his powers when he should. He never uses the right ones.
He has a super kiss, guys.
Yeah, he has cold air. Never uses it. He never uses his speed to his advantage. He can go
Except for when it's to show off against the Flash.
Or it's to save Lois Lane. Again, another episode for the DC rant and nerdery. But I would have to go. I would just based on my loyalty anyway.
Yeah.
So you have that as your number 3. My number 3 is Thor. And is kind of like my feel with Iron Man. What it brought to the table. Because you go from Iron Man, grounded technology, sets up for this, oh my God, characters development universe, and then you go into Thor, and you're thrown into, they're telling you the story, and you're on different planets, and you're at Asgard, and it's all cosmic now, and holy crap, this is crazy, and then it goes to Earth, which leads into
I just need to throw in a monkey wrench into your thing. You're saying it's so big. You do realize the main conflict of that story was a town being destroyed, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Which you're allowed, and I don't get me wrong. I thought about that, but
I'm not saying it's bad. It's still a good movie. I love the movie.
I wouldn't want you to agree on every single thing I said. That's the good point.
Loki did a fantastic job. I will say Tom Hiddleston nailed it.
Yes.
I didn't even mention this in the Avengers thing. Tom Hiddleston nailed it. I couldn't think of a better first villain for the big bads to take out.
Right.
Because, like, Thor didn't technically beat him all the way because Loki got away.
Yes.
And then he has this big army to distract. So, like, it was, like, perfectly paced, like,
True.
the villain-wise, because, like, you didn't have to spend, like, 10 minutes being like, okay, here's the villain, this is what he's doing, this is why he's doing it,
right,
blah, blah, blah.
You're starting to see his motivation.
Worst things about the origin movies is that you have to find out the villain's motivations, you have to find out the hero's motivations, how they got their powers, blah,
right.
blah, 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 blah. And this is like, hey, Loki, he's a trickster, he does this, he's following Thanos, cool, we're all good.
To me, you could cut out everything on Earth in that movie, and it's a 10 to me. That's why it's on my list. Is because it's everything on Asgard and on Jotunheim, all that stuff. I love that stuff a lot. I love Thor's attitude, and I like, when he gets called a little run home little girl, little princess, and he just he gets that smile, and he just turns around and blasts them, and then they all fight, and then at the end he flies through and goes right through that monster's face hole and out the back of his skull, and it's just everything. I love the bridge. I love Amdal. He's one of my favorite because I love Idris Elba.
What did you say?
What's his name?
Heimdall.
That's what it is. See, that's why I have you around. That's because you get to pronounce and to help me with my non-pronouncing and my dyslexica. But how is that? You see what I mean? My dyslexics. My Lexus
dyslexia. Mm-hmm. There we go.
Exactly. See what I mean? I've already explained that in earlier episodes. You've listened, but you've heard the first couple episodes. I've already explained my stuff. But so I agree with you on the stuff. It's just it's rewatchability to me. I think is also part of it. Is why it's at my number 3.
Oh, yeah.
So you're at number 3.
I have one non-MC one on here,
which is fine.
That is Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi.
Dr. Octopus.
Dr. Octopus, Alfred Molina does it perfectly. Don't get me wrong. First one, like I said, it had some pacing issues. It's the only reason that I don't have it higher. I think it's perfectly paced. You feel for Mary Jane and Peter Parker. Soundtrack is perfect. Alfred Molina does a beautiful job as
CGI.
Dr. Octopus. The CGI is good. And him losing his powers and not being super weird and he was in 3 and just being going back to just being a normal guy, which is what he wanted all along. That's what he's always wanted, was just to be done.
Everyone I hear that talks about villains and their favorite, almost everybody I know usually goes to Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock, man. Yeah. It's awesome.
Because okay, this is the thing. Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger did a fantastic job as Joker.
Yes.
But, that's the crazy side. You just see him being pure evil, essentially.
Right.
And then, the reason Loki's such a good villain, the reason Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus is such a good villain is because you see their human side. Mm-hmm. You see Alfred Molina struggling, which is why I think he's a better villain, is because you see him struggling with it. He's talking to these arms, which again, Norman Osborn in the first one, he's didn't want to kill Peter,
right?
But
he had voices
wanted
in his
to
head.
Kill Peter,
right?
That was the thing. So, but that, and then Spider-Man being revealed to Harry as Peter Parker,
right?
And then it's just dude, we're setting up for the next one,
right?
Which turned out to be a slight disappointment, but man,
it's better than people make it out to be.
That dance scene,
made
is just
it
8 out of 10.
There is a cut out there that has that whole thing removed, but
No, the dance scene makes it for me, man.
Oh, that's horrible. I can't do it. I can't.
If you can
the look on his face, he's a pedophile or something. Look on his face. It's just that look on his face, man. No, I just I can't do it. I can't watch it. It's giving me nightmares just thinking about it right now. But that's a solid pick. If I had an overall of all the universes, that's definitely on there. Those movies are so influential, especially because, to me, honestly, if you don't have those, you don't have what we have now either. Yeah. Maybe we do, but maybe they're different.
We wouldn't have what we have now because Spider-Man 2, I believe, made the most money out of. No, Spider-Man 3 made more money, but Spider-Man 2 made enough money that it was like a superhero movie is feasible.
Right.
Spider-Man 1
It's
made
not
money.
Batman anymore.
It's not just Batman.
Yeah, it's not just a movie thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's actually
Also,
universes.
Spider-Man 2 came out before Batman Begins.
Right.
I believe.
Right.
Yeah, it came out in 2004. Yeah, so it came out before Batman Begins. So
Right.
maybe we wouldn't have gotten The Dark Knight for all
Right.
we know if it
Very
wasn't
true.
for Spider-Man 2.
That's a good point.
Because like people had been burned so bad by Batman and Robin and Howard the Duck, all those movies.
Correct.
Batman Forever, argue whether you
Superman
want.
Returns.
Superman Return, that was
Even though Brandon Routh is
06?
Superman again in the TV universe.
No, he's
Yeah,
not.
he's back
No, he
playing
plays-
Superman.
He plays the Atom.
I know, but he's back playing. He's playing
Super.
Superman again in the Arrowverse, whatever they got going on. Yeah, their TV
CW,
universe
yeah.
is just
Yeah.
so messed up right now.
Which is sucks because it was so good. But like people had been burned so bad. X-Men was darker than people wanted,
Yeah,
and X-Men 2 I think delivered about what expectations were. Fantastic Four, when it first came out, it was liked, but like when people started thinking about it, they're like, there's a lot of holes in that. Silver Surfer like burned people again, like, but then like Spider-Man came out and they're like, okay, we got a good first one, guys.
Right.
Can we get a second one?
Right.
Spider-Man 2 comes out. We got a good superhero sequel. It's
right.
been such a long time since Batman freaking Returns.
Right, since we actually
got a good sequel to a superhero movie.
Right. I mean, I love Batman Forever, but everyone misconstrued that really movie was just it was its own thing. And, Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones, Val Kilmer, all those. It's just what it is. It's its own thing. It was meant to be kind of like the '60s TV show in a way, goofy, weird. I agree with that. That's a good pick for that. I have number 4. I have Doctor Strange as my number 4. It to me, it's visually best movie in the MCU, in my opinion.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Yeah, I mean that scene is just incredible. Benedict Cumberbatch nails that character. Not quite like Robert Downey Jr. does with Tony Stark, but very close. He's like right there with him as far as enveloping that character and becoming that smart ass, that wise ass.
Kind of like what we said already. It's just like MCU has nailed every acting choice from the start. Like, because
and they're not rushing either.
Again, thing that we say with DC. Say what you will about Ben Affleck. It's
he did great.
I haven't seen I'm not saying whether he's good or bad. I used to say he was bad, but I haven't actually seen enough of him to actually form an accurate opinion.
Right.
Ben Affleck is going to take some used to being Batman. And now he's not even Batman anymore.
And now it's Robert Pattinson.
It's going to take time to get people to get used to that. But, like, Robert Downey Jr., as soon as he walked on screen, you knew he was Tony Stark.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Evans, as soon as he came out of we're just going to call it the steroid machine because it's what it was.
Yeah, inject him with the super soldier serum.
Inject him with super soldier serum, steroids.
SSS.
You knew exactly that was Captain America. You knew Thor. You knew Chris Hemsworth was Thor.
Oh, yeah.
You knew Benedict Cumberbatch was Doctor Strange.
Absolutely.
They have nailed it just about.
You knew Scarlett
every time.
Johansson was Black Widow.
You knew Scarlett Johansson. You knew Jeremy Renner was Hawkeye.
That was out of left field, but that was great.
Yeah, some people can't see him past like the guy in like all the army movies, but like he is probably the most grown actor I feel like out of it. Like,
I mean,
grown
Hurt Locker
on
was
me.
crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, like he's grown on me the most because like Avengers, I was like, he's pretty cool, but like Hawkeye's my favorite character in the comic book. So
you had to have a guy with a bow in there, man.
Yeah, I gotta have that green arrow.
He's got an awesome bow,
Yeah,
they didn't make him purple and goofy, so like the comics.
Hey, that suit is bomb. I will fight that to the death.
Bomb. It's okay. So I got Doctor Strange. Yes, Benedict Cumberbatch envelops. What do you got for your number 2? Which you are on?
1.
Oh, you're on your 1. That's correct.
Yeah, I'm on my 1.
Yes.
Avengers Endgame.
Avengers Endgame is your number 1.
Yes. He is cringing right now because reasons that we'll get to soon.
Yeah, because
Okay,
we were going to make it quick.
It was fan service to the max. If you want to just keep this short and sweet.
Yep.
He's crying now. It's okay, Nathan. Let the tears out. It's fine. I know.
Okay, I get it from your standpoint. The more I think about it, but yeah,
It
continue.
was fan service to the max. Everyone played the rules to perfection. Ronan was freaking beast mode in
Oh,
it.
it was awesome.
And for people who don't know, Hawkeye, Ronan, same guy.
Right.
Black Widow's sacrifice. We've already said spoiler warning. Sorry,
Exactly.
guys.
No, we're way past that now.
Yeah, but Black Widow, her sacrifice, that scene, like, even though I knew what was going to happen, I didn't know if they were killing Hawkeye or Black Widow at that point.
I didn't either, honestly.
Because Black Widow was getting a movie, I wasn't sure.
Neither was I.
And Hawkeye hadn't had his show announced yet.
And he had a family.
And
Two
he
was
had
the
a
other part of
family,
it. So
and like he went to the dark side.
Right.
And he was like the human side of the Avengers, so it would have made sense to have killed him.
Yes. Correct.
So like it was such a beautifully done movie. What was it? When Captain America got Mjolnir, like it was such a satisfying moment because we've been waiting for that since Age of Ultron at least. But like we're like, oh, he can move it a little bit, so like maybe. But then like actually seeing with it, I've seen it 4 times.
That was breathtaking. I will admit that.
I've seen it 4 times. Every time I see him get the hammer, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Which I'm gonna watch it again, and it'll probably change my mind when we get to that. But I like the idea of it more than I like the movie. I pulled a Last Jedi. I wanted Star Wars: The Last Jedi to be a certain way. I am in that group that was upset because it didn't go the way I wanted to. Does that mean that it's bad or a horrible movie? Absolutely not. And I appreciate it more now.
Darth Plagueis was not in there.
We'll see if he shows up in the next one. Because there's a lot of stuff going down in the next one.
No one knows who that is unless you read the comic book.
Exactly. Or the book.
So it would have made no sense.
Or the book. But who the hell is Snoke, okay? I'm just going to say that. He could have been Darth Plagueis. I'm just saying. There's just too much. Anyway, my point is that my expectations for this movie were... I had such a high bar, and the bar hit me on the knee. That's all. But when you say it's your number one, the reason I cringed is because, like, I even feel bad thinking or saying it that way, like, because it was a great film or awesome movie. I think if other movies hadn't happened or if things wouldn't have gone a certain way, I think different, or maybe if I was a little bit prepared, or maybe if the ending wasn't exactly the way I wanted it to be. Who knows? I don't know. We're talking hindsight. We're talking don't know hypotheticals. But I do agree with everything you said about that film. Like, I get it all the way. And then, even looking back on it, now I get it more and more. I just, it's not on it's on a top 5, but it's not on a top 5 of my favorites, unfortunately. Because the end of my top 5 is Infinity War, which I think is superior to Endgame. But I think that because, well, like originally, obviously they were supposed to be named Infinity War 1 and 2, right? It was kind of going to be different. At first,
they said it was going to be like Infinity War, then Infinity Gauntlet, then Infinity War Part 1, Part 2.
Right.
Then they're just like, we're just not going to tell you the name. And then somebody found out and stole the website, which I find hilarious.
It's the Thor coming back, him doing the reforging, all that good stuff, and then
Avengers Infinity War is what Last Jedi
the battle, right?
Is what Last Jedi should have been.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Last Jedi had the 3 stories, which we saw work in Infinity War after the fact,
right?
But
except for the Canto Bight stuff, which is
but like personally, the Rose and Finn stuff, dumbest crap ever. Mm-hmm. Finn was such a good character in Force Awakens.
Ruined him.
And they kind of ruined him.
Yeah.
I'm excited for him to come back with Lando. It's cool.
Yes.
But I'm less hyped for the movie now just because of that. But continuing on, the Rey and Kylo stuff, great story. Like, that was like such well.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Well done.
Yeah,
so well done. And then they did the whole what's his bucket? What's his name?
We're talking main character here.
The other story in Last Jedi.
Luke.
Huh?
We got Luke. We got Kylo and Rey. We got
Luke. I counted the Rey and Kylo stuff. What's his
Poe.
face? Huh? Poe. Yeah, Poe. The Poe storyline, which I think is middle of the road, just because you can put so many logic holes into it.
True.
Like, man, maybe you should tell your loose cannon that's known for disobeying orders. Maybe you should tell him about your plan.
Maybe you should tell him about your plan. Big time. And
But-
and that all goes back
whatever.
to, that's Rian Johnson. I mean, honestly, he had his vision, and that was the way he wanted it done, and he got to do it. So, which he did. He did a lot of things amazingly. And that's kind of where I was on the Avengers Endgame compared to Infinity War. I thought that Infinity War was so good, like, you could have, like, stopped until the next phase, in my opinion. It was that good. Would that have been crappy? Yeah, but I would have waited. But to me, it was just, oh my God, that movie is just so good. Just the way they did things, and then the battle on Titan, and just everything about the whole movie. I feel that way about this movie as you do. You speak of as Endgame.
So this is the thing with Infinity War, and this is after seeing Endgame and Spider-Man. Spider-Man, at the end of that, I can't wait for the next Spider-Man movie, and it's not even like a part one.
Nice.
So it's not like
Right.
part one Mysterio, part two Mysterio comes back.
Right.
It's not that,
Everything
but
like
like
that, yeah.
I can't, like, Infinity War's job was to set up Endgame, and it did that, but like for some reason I just want to see Spider-Man so much more than I wanted to see Endgame. Like, I wanted to see Endgame, obviously, but that
Right.
was more from the commercials.
Right.
Like,
I do want to see
like,
Spider-Man more than I've wanted to see a solo film in quite some time.
Like Infinity War, like, it didn't get me to want to watch Endgame any more than I was already ready to go watch it.
Right.
Which was its main job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, be a good movie, blah, blah, blah. And, like, it sets up Thor's character arc. Like, it starts it, and, like, which, again, I like Endgame better. I think they finish out the Thor story arc so much better, so perfectly in Endgame. And I know a lot of people got mad because he wasn't freaking Chris Hemsworth in the final battle, whatever.
Right.
Which I find a stupid argument, because he wasn't back to shape yet. He was still worthy, yes, but he hadn't recovered. And people are like, why was he that fat? Because what do you guys do when you're depressed?
say, what do you do?
turn to something. He turned to alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol. I can speak. I promise.
Alcohol.
Alcohol. He turned to beer, alcohol,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And he got a beer gut because of it.
Right. Oh, absolutely. It's exactly what happened to
So
him.
that's so it made just so much sense. Yet people are like, why is he blah blah? And I.
Oh, he's a god. What, you think gods can't get fat? Look at history books. There's
that's
some fat
racist.
gods, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or whatever you
Did
want
you
to call
not
it.
see Volstagg in
Yeah.
Thor and Thor Dark World?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. The Infinity War, that was my 5. That was my 5th. I was talking why I liked it and what you liked about, like, your number 1, comparing Infinity War to Endgame. To me, like, yes, they're connected. To me, they're also night and day. Not, like, good or bad, as far as, like, what's going on, what's at stake is completely different. And then, obviously it just leads up to that huge battle that everyone always wanted. And, you had all these movies building up Thanos, and, you want to see him throw down.
Yeah.
And then you get to see him throw down amazingly, and Captain America gets, the hammer, and that's amazing. Like you said, that whole...
Then we finally get him saying Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, I mean, Avengers Assemble. I mean, thank you.
Avengers!
Right.
Assemble.
I mean, what?
It's
Like, how many times did they say Avengers or whatever, and then they cut it?
A lot.
A lot. So it was a good time. That's another reason why I appreciated that movie so much. Like, I remember my face did light up when you see Doctor Strange getting all the, holes and, things and stuff like that.
The best way to describe that movie is fan service to the max.
It is very much, and that's not a bad thing. But that's why it's on my other top 5. We'll kind of glaze over because we're kind of short on time here. We'll get into the end. You know what? I'll gloss over real quick. My anticipated. I want to see. Obviously, we talked Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I want to see the new Thor movie, which is titled Thor.
Love and Thunder, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's Blade. I'm very excited with the possibility of Blade. I love the other movies, all 3 of them. Doctor Strange 2. So excited about that. I knew that was going to happen. And I'm excited for Beta Ray Bill to finally show up. Because you saw a statue in Thor Ragnarok. You know he's a part of the universe. He's a warrior at some time. We have no idea how he's going to connect to this universe. But Kevin Feige said, yeah, it's very vague. So before we get onto our top final, the not so much liked or disagree, what would be like your most anticipated?
Okay,
Obviously,
so
Eternals, correct?
I do not have that on here.
Oh, wow.
Actually.
All right. Because it's so big. It's another one of those huge things. It's a given.
No, actually. I don't know.
You like the idea about it more than you like the Eternals?
Basically, they're DC's new gods, which DC hasn't done anything with them yet. But
understandable.
This is what I try to do with any bigger movie coming out. I try not to get hyped for it until I start seeing stuff for it. I just like to be like, okay, I'll go watch it, not praising it, not discrediting it, just want to go watch a movie, enjoy myself.
Right.
Okay. But, so on mine, I have Thor 4, of course.
Okay.
Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, Natalie Portman.
Oh, God, can't wait.
Fantastic. Doctor Strange, the first one is one of my favorite MCU movies.
Yes.
Not my top 5, but
one of your favorites,
very close.
obviously, right?
Hawkeye, I loved him in ENDGAME. He's getting his own show.
That's going to be great.
I'm
glad it's a show.
I really, really hope that they're going to explore him training his daughter, stuff like that.
More ENDGAME training. Yes.
And then my final 2, I'll do the one that most people are more excited for first, is What If?
That's going to be great. I am excited about that.
It presents so many good storytelling opportunities.
Lots of possibilities.
That you just can't... we don't know what's going to happen.
No, it's not on my list because I believe that they're going to do something that's so amazingly boss. They're not going to know what to do.
That we're going to...
We're going to have another universe now? Oh, God.
Well, it's animated, so...
That's okay. It's animated.
It's animated.
Oh, that's it. Okay, well, then bring it on.
So, yeah, that's going
Into the Spider-Verse.
That's going to help it 10 times better.
Right.
And my last one, just because of how weird and different it is Shang-Chi.
I'm excited about that as well.
They're making a kung fu superhero movie now. And
that's not Iron Fist?
That's not Iron Fist. I am the immortal Iron Fist, blah, blah, blah. But they're making it actually a movie. I don't know why I'm excited, but I am.
I'm excited for the guy who's playing it, that he was actually, campaigning to play this character, and he got it, because he was like...
See, this is also the thing, is that I understand, it kind of almost felt like paint by numbers for Marvel for a bit, because it's okay, I expected ENDGAME. I didn't expect everything in ENDGAME, but I expected everything in Infinity War, expected everything in Ant-Man and Wasp, Ant-Man, whatever. Guardians of the Galaxy, I feel was the last thing that truly just blew my mind with how different it was. Mm-hmm. And they're trying something new, and I am happy.
Original.
They're completely original. A character that no one knows, which is what they started with Iron Man. So I'm glad they're not just resting back we have Thor 5 and 6 coming out. Of course, they're still doing the sequels because they're not stupid.
Right.
But they're going to new stuff as well, which so excited for.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think that list actually is better than my list, to be honest with you. Hearing it as far as anticipated, I think, I am a tad bit older than you, obviously, so I think that's kind of where the Blade thing comes in. Yeah. The Beta Ray Bill thing comes in for me. But hearing everything you're saying.
I didn't actually hear about the Beta Ray Bill thing.
Yeah, it was one of those, Kevin Feige is he's honest but subtle,
Well, in that case,
when he was asked about it, he's basically you're gonna...
in that case, I'm putting X-Men on there because he mentioned, oh, hey, by the way, we don't have time for the mutant stuff, so we gotta go. Bye.
Understandable.
Fantastic.
Understandable. That's very cool. So before we end the show here, and we wrap it up with a little bit of local news that I have, we're gonna go over the top 5, like I said, your dislikes, your disappointment, there has to be a bottom of the bar. If there's a top, if there's a top 5, there's got to be a bottom 5. And I'll just kind of let you go through your list, your 5 through 1 or 1 through 5, however you want to, and then I'll follow.
Okay. I will go through the least disappointed on this list to most disappointed. I have one from each. I'll explain. Okay, so number 5 is Iron Man 3.
Okay.
The Mandarin twist I personally didn't like whatever your thoughts are on it. I didn't like the kid. I didn't like the kid aspect of it.
It wasn't done right. No, if there was cool things. I mean, obviously it'd be cool to have Iron Man show up at my house. Of course, you know.
It's Robert Downey Jr.,
Right.
so of course you're gonna like it. But I feel like overall the pacing was off.
Agree.
It was the kid thing was just weird.
It's a Shane Black movie. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It was meant to be that way.
Yeah.
They didn't even know if they were going to do it or whatever. I totally agree with that. I don't think it's a bad superhero film, but there's things in it that definitely brings it to the lower part of the list.
My next one is we'll go with The Wolverine, which is the second movie in the Wolverine
Where they're in
trilogy.
Japan?
Yes.
Right.
Where they had Japanese Hawkeye and Japanese Black Widow,
Which was
completely
pointless movie.
Which was all I was thinking about whenever I was watching it.
The beginning and the end are the only good thing. Like literally the first 5 minutes, last 10 or last 5 is like that's it.
Again, Hugh Jackman, fantastic.
Nails it. Obviously,
that's the thing is that these movies have such good actors that it's almost hard to dislike them. Other than I'm going to come up with one here in a second. Other than that one, but all these movies have such good actors that's like looking back on it, I see all the holes in it, but like it's still kind of enjoyable to watch just because how good it is to watch you guys. Like Venom, watch that. Looking back on it, there's so many holes in it, but just seeing.
But it was so entertaining. You don't care really, you know.
Exactly,
especially not the first time.
Tom Hardy just being fantastic. It was just such a fun experience that it was just like I don't care about.
It's like he honestly it was like Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like what? Like those guys are great. He's great, but really him Deadpool?
Yeah.
This was Tom Hardy. Venom.
Tom
what?
Hardy? Why is he in a lobster tank now? Like,
right.
Just like off the wall crazy crap. The motorcycle scenes were
all of
cool,
it. But it
and
was
then
good.
like Venom's voice in Eddie's head like. Oh, so does these parasites make you climb trees? Yes, Eddie, we just did it. It was such a... wasn't expecting
right.
it. It was hilarious. Just... Yeah, it was just such... That's what
also
makes,
kind of fan servicey.
Yeah, that's what makes these movies so hard to, like, dislike. Other than my next one I'm going with, my notes disappointed is Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Or the 2015 reboot of Fantastic Four, however you want to do it.
Correct, with Miles Teller.
Yeah, they spell it Fantastic. It was dumb. Doctor Doom was crap. The acting wasn't great. They literally went into it because, you know, how some, you know, actors are like, hey, I want to, like, read some of the material that I'm going to copy first.
Right.
They were literally told, no, we're not copying anything from the books. Don't worry about it, which is dumb. Like
studios helped ruin that. Director helped ruin that. Everyone just...
Literally, I believe the director was so crazy that the production team locked him out of the editing office. Like, stories came out. It was like, this was going to be a bad movie. I didn't hear about that till after.
Which is bad on both sides, you know.
I didn't really like Michael B. Jordan as Human Torch. I don't feel like he embodied the character
and that
enough.
one, I think they forced something that... I'm not even going to say racism. I'm just saying they forced a change that was unnecessary. You know what I mean?
There are certain changes that are fine. It doesn't matter. But this was... I don't feel like the character fit Michael B. Jordan.
It didn't, and he's great because obviously he showed in,
Black Panther. He showed in... I haven't watched it, but I hear he's fantastic in Creed and Creed 2.
I haven't watched it either, but I heard the same.
But he's good in all these things, and wasn't he the one who played Lando in Solo?
That was Donald Glover.
Or Donald Glover, sorry.
Or Childish Gambino, whatever.
But, like, he's so good in those movies, so I don't know what it was in this, but also the fact that if you're going to make one of them black, just make both of them black. Don't do the adoption thing. That's kind of
That's what
dumb.
I mean. Those kind of things where you're just like, yeah, we're doing this. Yes, like it or not.
This was the problem with Spider-Man 3. It was like, oh, hey, so Sandman killed Uncle Ben now. It's like, wait, why?
Why?
You don't have... No.
Why? Why does that have to be a thing?
What? Unnecessary.
That was also a big problem I had with Spider-Man 3 myself.
Yeah. But whatever. What's over?
Right. It is in the past.
Over.
Understandable.
MCU's got it now. Let's
Yes.
go. Next one is X-Men Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. Apocalypse, fantastic villain.
Oscar Isaac's a great actor.
Oscar Isaac is a great actor. I think this is actually probably the most disappointing for all the talent that was in it.
Right, like bringing in
I don't know
Gene, the new people, all that stuff.
I don't know director-wise, but, like, this was the first one without Hugh Jackman in the majority of it, other than, like, First Class.
Right, when they go
like,
to pick him up, right.
Michael Fassbender, fantastic. James McAvoy, fantastic. Jennifer Lawrence has played Mystique well.
Nicholas Hoult.
I personally think. Beast. Oh, Nicholas Holt's Beast.
Right.
Great. And then it's like all of these things, like looking at it, it's like, how could they mess this up?
Yeah.
And then you watch the movie and then you leave like, how did they mess this up? I don't understand. I don't understand where they went wrong with it. There's so much great talent there.
I mean, honestly, off the top of my head, it's like what they said before is like he looks like Ivan Ooze. He should be bigger. He should have been able to crush them way easier than what happened to him. You know, and he did all this crazy stuff and built this pyramid back and all this stuff, and then you're just like, well, Jean Grey.
This is the thing is that we've had movies with terrible, terrible scripts, but like the actors are just so good in the roles that it doesn't matter.
Right.
And all these characters are good in their roles, other than Oscar Isaac, which I'm just going to say is for the writing problem, but all these characters have nailed these characters, so I don't know why it's not at least an enjoyable movie, maybe not like an A level, but like an enjoyable popcorn movie, but it kind of hurts to watch sometimes, because it's just
it
like...
does. The whole underground part of it was boring.
Yeah.
The beginning, the
it's like,
origin of
you remember
him
Havoc from First Class?
Right.
Yeah, he's dead
now.
And it's like, what?
Like, why?
Well, why?
I know. Things like that. There was lots and lots of little things throughout the whole course of the movie that just... Yeah. I definitely agree with that one. That was your number 2,
yes.
Right. And your worst. Wow, we're on there. Your worst.
Yeah, my worst.
Your most hated, disliked,
most hated
disappointed.
Marvel movie is Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Let's throw every villain and do it horribly wrong.
Let's throw Rhino, who's going to be crap at the beginning, and then get the suit, and then we're going to end on that. It's the freaking Rhino. Nobody's cared about him since the 70s. I hate to tell you guys, but you could have made him cool, because guess what? Not a lot of people cared about Mysterio other than those who watched the TV show since the 60s.
Me, yeah, that's right.
You watched the TV show. So since the freaking 60s, because he's been seen as a joke.
Yeah.
He was literally in Spider-Man 2, and you literally like found him, and as soon as you found him, it was like he has this big health bar, and then you punch him, and he's just down. And they still treated him like a big level threat in this new movie. Yeah. So like, guess what? You could have done a good thing with the Rhino, but guess you dropped the ball there.
Dropped the ball. God, it was so bad.
Electro, he's been made fun of a lot.
Great actors. 2 great actors.
Great actor.
Horrible parts.
It didn't make sense why did he have to be a Spider-Man fan? It didn't make sense. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone made the first movie.
They did.
If they didn't have the chemistry,
then they effing killed her.
Well, that's fine. They can kill her. It's
you
fine.
do not kill Gwen. It was wrong.
Well, they also cut out stuff that would have made the movie like I want to watch the next one, because they cut out, hey, look, here's Peter's dad coming to visit him at his gravesite. It's like, wait, what the heck?
Yeah. Huh?
Also, they just waste Felicia Hardy as a one-off line. What the freaking heck? Harry Osborn's like, hey, Felicia, come here, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Harry, what is Green Goblin? No, that's not what he's supposed to look like. What are you doing? This is dumb.
Yeah, lots and lots of issues. I kind of blanked that movie from my memory after seeing it the one time. It was disappointing because the first one I thought was leading somewhere pretty good.
I wasn't the biggest fan of the first one, but I remember the post-credit scene, and I was kind of excited because the post-credit scene was like the mysterious man talking to the lizard, like, have you told him yet? Oh. And then they don't follow up on it. Right. Which I think of what they were going to follow up on was that Peter's dad was alive, which is a deleted scene. Right. But, of course, we're never going to get that story because...
Of course, it's gone now.
It's gone.
Right.
Also, the fact that Spider-Man is straight up a stalker in it, literally Gwen dumps his butt, and then he follows her around. That's
Yeah.
not Spider-Man. That's dumb.
You know what I mean? I get it. You know, the Amazing Spider-Man. It's a different story. It's a Spider-Man. I get it. I understand. It was just the idea was amazing. Horrible execution. Horrible execution on that movie.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So I got to give it to you. You got a pretty good list there. So I will give you that. That's because there's just so many anyway, especially from the beginning when it's all been around. That movie is pure garbage.
Oh, so great.
So I will go. I'll keep with my direction of the top fives. You went 5-1. I will start with. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna spice it up. I'm gonna do the same thing because I kind of like the way it sets it up a little bit.
Builds
so
up tension, my dude.
and I want to just get it out of the way because it was actually your number one favorite MCU movie. I don't even have to say it. It's that Avengers movie that came out recently.
What was that called again?
Yeah, it was
I don't know.
It was Avengers Endgame.
By the way,
it's number 5.
Sorry, we forgot some movie news. It has finally beaten Avatar. So
it is big movie news. It has number 1.
Disney has beaten Disney. Good job, Disney.
Yeah, good job, Disney. They paid themselves to beat themselves.
Good job, Disney.
Yeah, well, we got to get over that. They got to get over that hump. We got to be number 1 on that list. But Avengers Endgame. It is not. It is on there because it is. It's not part of my hate. It's not part of my dislike.
Okay,
it's part of my disappointment.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
It's my disappointment. That's why it's on this list, and I had to pick something. It is my disappointment. Endgame disappointed me because I did it to myself, but I just thought that Infinity War, kind of like the Force Awakens, Last Jedi thing, I thought it was going to go this way, and it didn't. So I put it on there because when I leave a theater and I feel that certain way where I'm questioning, did I like that movie or not, it disappointed. Because when I left Infinity War, I was doing circles and snapping my fingers and hitting the steering wheel in my car because I was so pumped up. When I got done with Endgame, I sat in the car and me and Charlie just looked at each other like, I mean...
What he's saying is he likes
really,
genocide, by the way.
Yeah.
He got real excited after the snap. That's all I'm saying.
Snap, half of them are gone. People disappeared. That was really cool effect. I felt really bad for Spider-Man. That was sad. But yeah, so it is on there. I'm not going to dwell too much on it because I've already kind of explained when you said it was your favorite and why I did not like it. But yes, there it is. It is on my list. It's number 5. It just squeaked in there because there's really not more besides the ones you've said, actually, which would be on my extended top 10 list if we had one. I would go with pretty much everything that you said. My number 4 is Ant-Man. And again, it's one of those movies that I'm not putting it on here because I hate or I dislike. I'm putting it because, not even disappointed, it's because it's so different and to me, it just skips off the universe into this real world Daredevil TV show thing.
Let me try to help you.
I like the Hank Pym stuff. I get it.
Let me try to help you here with liking this Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just got Age of Ultron, right?
Correct.
Where the whole planet was doomed.
Correct.
And where were we going to go from there? Other than going into more Avengers drama, we had to have that little palate cleanser. That's what Ant-Man is for the MCU. After Avengers Infinity War, he's our palate cleanser. And also, would it have helped if Michael Pena had narrated the entire movie?
Probably.
I personally think that would have been best movie of all time.
It could have made it better.
Okay. But
again, it's not a bad movie. I think it's shot very well. I think the story's really well.
Yes.
I think the actors are very well done. I think Paul Rudd is an amazing Ant-Man.
I personally think he nails Ant-Man almost more than Robert Downey Jr. nails Tony Stark.
Because it's you're looking at Paul Rudd and you're like, no, that's,
I think
Ant-Man.
Paul Rudd is top 3 actors in the MCU, followed by I think he's third. I think Tom Holland. Personally, after seeing the new movie, Tom Holland is number 1.
He is
honestly
really, really
but
good.
Paul Rudd, I know you haven't. You said you haven't seen Ant-Man Wasp yet.
No.
Well, there's a certain scene in it where someone takes control of him, and you immediately see from his body language, from the way that he talks, from all of this, that something is different. So
Okay.
you're not having to just be piece it together like, oh, he's talking smarter now, so it's different. But you see, like, the way that he's standing, all this stuff, that something is different.
Right.
Which is why I think he's one of the best actors in the MCU right now. But the problem with the Ant-Man movies is that they feel like low level, like they don't really matter, blah, 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 blah. And that's because they're coming after Avengers Age of Ultron. Whole planet was doomed, and it's stuck in between that and Civil War, two, like, huge stories.
Right.
So it feels like lost in the shuffle, but it makes sense.
And when you watch Endgame, it does now.
Yeah. And then,
and
like,
I appreciate it more. And like I said, it's not on this list because of, on my list because of a dislike. It's, again, it goes back to, if I have to put something, this is another movie on why I put it on there, because it just, it doesn't click with me. This was actually a movie that it's not like I refused to watch it, I just wasn't excited to watch it. But then when I finally got around to watching it, I was like, man, I really enjoyed that movie. It was a good movie. Now, to me, was it a great Marvel MCU movie? No. But that exact movie would have been like, if it would have came out like after Iron Man, I might have enjoyed it more. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I think it's...
I respect it, that's for sure.
It makes sense why they place it where it is, but it also hurts it at the same time.
I agree. Like you said, that Ultron thing really, it really kind of screws with it. But that's why it's on there. My number 3 is the Hulk movie with Edward Norton.
The Incredible Hulk?
Yes, this is a movie that there was cool things, but I didn't enjoy it. That's kind of where I'm on with that. It was kind of, I honestly kind of had a tough time just choosing, because I kind of went with more of the current MCU. It was difficult to choose one, but Edward Norton wasn't believable.
Honestly,
I was excited. It was exciting with Robert Downey Jr. being in it. You know,
this is the thing with the Hulk actors between Mark Ruffalo and Edward Norton. Edward Norton, especially after seeing Fight Club, he looks like he could beat me up.
Right.
Mark Ruffalo doesn't look like he would hurt a fly.
Right.
Which is what Bruce Banner is.
Very true.
Like, I understand, like, oh, man, he's on the run, so it would make more sense that... Edward Norton has a freaking six-pack in it.
Yeah.
And he's, like, doing his breathing techniques and all this, like, I'm scared of you. I shouldn't be scared of you.
Yeah.
Like, I know he's a taller, lankier guy.
Right.
But even then, it's just like, you're not Bruce Banner.
I don't even remember who the bad guy is. I've seen the movie. That's it. I've seen the movie a bunch of times.
Abomination. He's actually still alive. We're still waiting for him to show back up.
To show back up. That is true. I forgot all about that.
Maybe it'll be Hulk and Abomination to Phase 4.
That's a good point. Didn't even think about that.
Or maybe Hulk will kill Abomination. That's what sets him off.
That would be sets him off. That's a good point. Delving deep into the nerdery here, guys. Seriously. We got like 2 hours of nerd going on here for your enjoyment. My number 2 is actually what you just mentioned. It's Avengers Age of Ultron. And it's because the entire movie, to me, is good, except for most of the Ultron crap. And I love James Spader. I think he does a fabulous time as the voice. He does a really good job as the voice. I love the scene when they're all, hanging out and drinking, and Captain America moves the hammer. Yeah. I love the idea, and I love Vision. Vision's one of my favorites. That was cool. There was cool things, but like the movie just disappointed. And it was also because the first Avengers so incredible. Set the bar, man. And then there was that. After all those other movies that were in between.
This is the thing that happened with that one. There started being strife between the company, Disney, and the director.
Right, Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon. And Joss Whedon that's why he went to DC, because he got so burnt out.
Right.
He wanted to do his own vision, but DC, or Kevin Feige, DC, or Marvel, whatever.
Right.
Just didn't want him to do it, which I find so sad that he went over to DC and then he's like, oh, here's Justice League. Do what you did for Avengers, but wait, don't change this or this or that. And it's just like, literally the reason he came over here was because of this.
Right.
And Joss Whedon did such an amazing job with the first one. He did a really good job with the second one. Like, not quite as good, but, like, it was still pretty good. And the reason I like Age of Ultron was because it started me liking Hawkeye in the MCU. Because, like, the first I had seen of Hawkeye was Avengers, because I hadn't seen Thor before I saw Avengers.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, I don't really know who this character is. Like, I read some comic books, so I eventually learned, and he became my favorite comic book character. But I was kind of disappointed by Jeremy Renner just because he's so different. But, like, in Age of Ultron, whenever he's talking to Wanda, and he's just like, none of this makes sense.
Right.
I'm here with a bow and arrow, and we're fighting robots.
One of the best scenes in the movie.
One of the
think.
best scenes in the movie. And that's what started me liking Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye. And then, like, Civil War added to that, and then Endgame added even more to that.
Right.
And then it made him feel like such a human character in this team of monsters, a steroid user,
Right.
A god and a freaking billionaire,
Right.
and a super spy. And then you have your human element with Hawkeye, and it's just so
Reverse Batman, you know,
yeah,
like human superhero.
he's our human side to that.
Right.
So that's why I think Age of Ultron is good, and of course all the actors are good.
Yes.
because
The whole as a whole. That's why it's on my.
as a whole,
I want to like
Ultron-
it. Want to like it more.
Ultron was such a great villain that he should have been better, but he wasn't. so.
Exactly. Because Ultron, I did know from comics and stuff.
Yes.
Like that was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
That's why I was it's also part of it. I was hyped up thinking it was going to be something that it wasn't.
Yeah.
That was more wishy-washy.
Also, an age is not
problems.
2 days.
Right.
An age is not 2 days.
Yeah. Right. 2 days of Ultron.
This is the age of Jed. Up and
Yeah.
2 hours later,
Yeah,
it's over.
It's over. Thanks, Vision.
Thanks,
Finish him
Vision.
off. And then my number one, we kind of briefly went over it earlier. It's Thor: The Dark World. It's another thing. Great actors. The idea was about it, but this had terrible execution. The Malekith, that actor was wasted. That character was wasted. There was cool CGI with the whole, the kids found the area and they, spinning cars and dropping things all the. But the whole, it gets inside of her and it was all this weird romantic stuff, and then Katniss, or whatever, her friend with their boyfriend was annoying, and then it was just not put together well. It should have been just like it should have been the Dark World. Like it should have been Thor and all his buddies and everybody that's awesome fighting against all the freaking dark elves, but it wasn't.
It should have been more like a battle in like Lord of the Rings, not.
Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
100%. That's
But-
why it's my
so-
and it's a mixture of all. It's disappointed. I didn't like it, and it makes me mad.
What I think would have helped that movie a little bit more is if they didn't have Loki in it. Because now,
Kind of took away from things.
see, this is the thing, that if you do a direct comparison against stuff, you're obviously going to like one thing more than the other.
Right.
And then you're going to see how bad one thing is compared to the other.
Correct.
So if you having Loki in there is reminding everyone of one Avengers, two the first Thor, and which I think we can all agree the first Thor is better than the second Thor.
Yes.
So that's the thing, is you having Loki in that, and don't get me wrong, Tom Hiddleston, fantastic, and I'm glad he was in that movie, and I'm glad he's enjoying being Loki because he's going to be in the TV show. That's probably my number 6 for most anticipated is Loki.
Right.
But I think that kind of just takes away from Malekith, because you're like, wait, but Loki though.
Yeah.
And then he dies for
Right.
the second time, and then you
Right.
see that he doesn't actually die, which makes everyone question it in Infinity War whether he actually died. And it's just like, well,
Right.
what? No, why?
Why would you think
Why
that?
is there an Infinity Stone that's goop?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
So,
right.
like,
Yeah.
So like, it wouldn't save the movie because it had obviously had more problems. But if they didn't have Loki in it, it would have been. I feel we would have liked it more, just because we're reminded so much of what we liked beforehand.
Right. I agree with that. And if you do have Tom Hiddleston Loki in that movie, it should have been a more pivotal. It should have been, Thor versus Loki versus Malekith instead of this.
Either have a three-way
charade.
battle, or instead of you didn't have to have. You could have had Jane be in there without having the realities, the Aether or whatever in there.
Right.
You could have had her just be like waltzing around, and then like the Dark Elves are just like start invading Earth, and like she's trying to help someone.
Right.
And then they're just like, wait, this is the girl that Thor, blah blah blah.
Right.
They kidnap her.
Right.
And then this leads Thor going on a warpath. He releases Loki because that's how desperate he is.
Right.
Which is what he does in the movie.
Right.
And then Loki is just like, nah, gets away, goes, finds the freaking storm giants because no one knows who they are. Might as well bring them into this and just have like a three-way massive battle, like Thor and the Asgardians versus Malekith and the Dark Elves versus Loki and the storm giants. Loki, if you wanted to do the dying thing, have him die, kill Thor's mom if you want, do all that stuff. You can do it pretty much the exact same way. Well, pretty much have the same results at the end.
Right.
But without having the stupid parts.
Exactly. Which is what takes away from the film.
Yeah.
All of that kind of stuff, and that's why it's my number one.
Yeah.
I mean, and I remember, first seeing it too, and I was like, all right, Dark Elves. Heck yeah, it's going to be awesome. And even the name, Thor, the Dark World, it just sounded cool. It still sounds cool. It's not. Every time I hear about it, I'm like, Thor, the Dark World. Yeah, oh, no.
Oh, wait,
That's
the worst one.
That's the worst one. That's the bad one. But like I
Let's
said,
just watch Ragnarok again, guys.
right. But see, and with all these movies, I think the whole point is, it shows you how much we enjoy this stuff. It shows, how much of a nerd I am, and clearly everyone knows how much of a nerd you are now, even more than before if they didn't. But people that listen to this show and that know you, that are going to be new listeners to the show because they want to hear you on the show. We do this because it's fun and we enjoy these things. So of course there's the good and the bad, even if sometimes the bad is not that bad. Because in all the realm of the thing, in my top 5 of my bad list, if I'm going through and watching the entire MCU, I'm skipping over the only movie I'm skipping over, and this whole thing is the Hulk movie. I don't need to see that movie. Because to me, it's a separate thing, even though I know it's not.
Okay.
I don't need to watch it.
Yeah, this is the thing.
I can watch and get through the rest of it.
You don't need to watch the whole movie, but you do need to watch the scene where he jumps out of the helicopter and he's just like going to turn into the Hulk. And then you just see it zoom in on his eye, and then he's like, oh, lands in the street. Right. And then then the Abomination is just like, what the? Okay, whatever. And then the Hulk comes out.
Right.
Freaking
so watch a clip or two.
Gold.
And then skip. And then get on to the other one. Because I can tolerate Dark World. I'll watch Ultron and I'll enjoy the parts of it. Ant-Man, because it's a big part of the story. And then Endgame, because obviously it's the end of that phase and end of these Avengers and all that. Of course I'm going to watch it again and I'll enjoy lots of the stuff that happened. So it's not like I'm going to, pass over. But as far as my list goes, that's the only movie I would skip over.
I will say the only movie on mine that I wouldn't watch again, and even then I still probably will, just because I just like watching superhero movies
Iron
that
Man
are
3?
dumb sometimes. Oh no, I'll always watch that one again. It kind of makes me mad, but it's fun.
Right.
But is probably Apocalypse, because that's the roughest one to get through.
It's there's extremely low watchability of that
'Cause
movie.
even
considering Days of Future Past, in my opinion, is boss.
Oh, so
it
good.
Rocks.
Okay, see, even Amazing Spider-Man 2, Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, again, their chemistry is so good in it that you feel whenever Gwen dies.
Oh yeah, you do. You
So
definitely
like,
do.
there's a reason to watch that.
Yes.
And like, of course, his fight scenes are still cool.
Right.
All that. So like,
Just
there's
have
still
the remote next to you. That's all.
There's still a reason to watch that movie.
Right.
Even if it's just to be just.
There's more than
dumb,
just one or two
Just for
reasons.
dumb fun.
Right.
But like Age of Apocalypse, like
if you were gonna watch like every Marvel movie, not MCU, you're probably skipping over Apocalypse.
It actually, it kind of pains me to watch sometimes because of it's not even how bad it is; it's the acting being wasted.
The funny part about that movie is I actually kind of liked it when I first saw it, and then I thought about it, and then I watched it again, and I was like, man, why did I like that movie?
So had the Phantom Menace approach. It's like, man, we've been waiting years for this movie. Oh, this movie is fantastic. Oh, wait, why was there so many debates in it? What the heck?
Trade routes. I don't want to hear any more effing trade routes. Even though it's still better than Attack the Clones, in my opinion. So, except for the end when Yoda whips out the lightsaber, it's just totally boss.
Freaking goes beast mode.
Yeah, he goes beast mode like a bouncy ball with a lightsaber glued to it. But yeah, hey, I don't know about you, man, but I've had a good time. It was good to have you on the show. The I Don't Mo Show Nation, as well as myself, greatly appreciate you being on here, especially given all the intel and teaching me some things that I absolutely didn't know. And I know a lot of people that are listening had no clue. So that's very, very cool. I'm glad you could be on, and we'll definitely have you on again. We like to do a little thing before we end the show. Again, we hope you all enjoyed this episode. Is we do a little bit of local news. That's bands, that's business, school, you name it. It doesn't matter if it has to do with local or Missouri. We're going to talk about it. That is Dead Roads. That is the band out of Rolla, Missouri. We've mentioned them a couple times on the show. They had a concert just this past month and at Otis Campbell's in Washington, and they will be returning to Otis Campbell's in Washington November 2nd at 9 p.m. is when that show will start. And I know a lot of people missed out on the last one because it was everyone was at the lake, a lot of things going on. But I think November 2nd is a perfect slot for these guys, and there's not really a better place in the area to watch a concert. The doors are open. You can watch in the street and hang out, come and have a drink. You can talk to the band, get to know, get autographs. They're a great group of people. Look them up on Facebook. It's Dead Roads. And Otis Campbell's, obviously, you can find them on Facebook and, Google them, check them out. They are down there at the riverfront in Washington, Missouri. So, again, that's Dead Roads, November 2nd at 9 p.m. I am Nathan J., your host of the I Don't Mo Show. And to my right here is Jed, the MCU guy, Jedi. That's what I'm calling you.
That's my official name, I guess.
That's your official name now. It is marked forever on recording of The Voice and YouTube.
We're going to do a DC show. I'm going to come on and be like, and Jed the MCU Jedi. We're talking DC today.
Batman.
And Batman. Drop the mic. That's all I know about it, DCU. Let's go.
Exactly. And we would love to have you back for that episode. And maybe we'll get Charlie in here for that one, too. And we'll get a little back and forth banter. That'd be pretty fun. Again, another shout out to Charlie P, your still host of the I Don't Mo Show. Rest in peace. On his extended vacation. Charlie P, everyone out here is thinking about you, and we appreciate you joining us today. Again, Jed, thank you for being here. We'll see you next time, buddy.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Peace. Bye.